Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday. Glad you're with us, both in studio. Glad to be here. Hope you had a great weekend. As we move forward from a couple of things, SEC meetings now concluded. We'll get to a little bit of that. Feels like there's some news coming out of it still that we haven't discussed just yet. College baseball continue to move on. Auburn will advance to the Super Regional. Alabama out in Hattiesburg. So a lot to get to today. How was your weekend, G-Mac?
Good weekend. A little laid back. Had a crawfish boil on Saturday, and that's pretty much it, man. Fun weekend, though, for sure. Good to be back in a swing, though. We were at the lake all last week, and kind of good to be back in the mix and heading the right direction now and getting back in a bit of a groove.
Were you heading in the wrong direction before?
No, I just felt like our life had very little structure. I really struggle without structure.
How is there structure now compared to then?
Just a little bit more of a normal routine, like workout routines the same, eat a little healthier, like just things like that. Structure and balance.
You just got to get into the groove again.
Need to. Got to dial it up.
So non-vacation life.
Yes.
Okay.
Non-vacation life.
I'm actually looking for the vacation life. I'm hoping to get into that. Where can we find that?
You had one this weekend, kind
I
of.
wouldn't call it a vacation.
Yeah, a little bit, though.
No, went down to a wedding in Biloxi. Our friend Josh Pate got married. It was cool to get down there and be a part of that. But you still have things. It's, you have dinner Friday night. My wife got a little more time than I did. I had to be at pictures at like 2, and she had the rest of the afternoon. So, that was easy, but it's...
You were in the wedding?
I was in the wedding.
Wow.
But it was nice to get away for a minute. Still, you're driving back and forth. It's what, 4.5, almost 5 hours?
Yeah.
Biloxi, a lot cooler than I remember, by the way. It was interesting telling my wife, I said, she was like, so you've been down here a couple of times. And we were kind of coming off the interstate, turning on whatever the road is that goes down past is it still the Gulf there?
I have no idea. I have never been to Biloxi.
I know it technically is. I just didn't know if they reference it as that.
Yeah, that's the Gulf,
I don't know
right?
if we just had that for ourselves.
The Delta?
Like, is that like a
That's
UCF?
just ours?
Is the Gulf a UCF national championship, essentially?
Wow.
Like, Alabama claims that only.
It's still the Gulf. It's just the Gulf of something else now. The Gulf
Where
of
does
America.
that stop? Tampa? They're a bay, so they just call it they live on a bay. When do you get to the ocean? Miami?
Yeah, you got to get past Florida.
Do you get out of America? Yeah.
I don't think people in
people,
Naples are necessarily calling it.
People south of Tampa are still calling it the Gulf.
I don't think they are. No, I don't know for sure, but I think it's unlikely.
Well, the water, we turned off by the water there in Biloxi, and I pointed to the Beau Rivage and I said, I've been in there a couple of times. Don't really remember anything else.
Yeah,
it was pretty much, we went there, we spent a lot of time at the tables, we left. That was it.
Okay.
So yeah,
love that.
No, I have not really kicked around Biloxi much. A lot of history though.
That's what you said.
There was a big bronze emblem in one sidewalk that I read, and it said, I'll probably misquote this. It said Biloxi has been, I believe, under 7 flags in their history.
Huh.
And one of them was the Republic of Florida. I had never seen that in my life. I had never heard that. Now, I'm not a history buff. Probably didn't pay close enough attention in history class.
Yeah.
Surprising to everyone here, I'm sure. But I had never heard of the Republic of Florida. Now, when it was under, Louisiana and
France.
Yeah, France was one. There's a couple that
Spain.
You're like, okay, yeah, obviously makes sense. But
the U.S., the Confederacy, the Republic of Florida, Texas didn't span that far. I'm trying to think of so that's what, 5?
That sounds like 5, yeah.
So you got Spain, France, U.S., Florida, Confederacy. There's got to be
France, England, Spain, Republic of West Florida, the Confederate States of America, the United States, and the Mississippi state flag.
So the Mississippi. See, that's what they get you. The Mississippi state flag.
Got us.
I didn't have it under England either.
Trickery.
I guess that makes sense though.
So Republic of West Florida, I guess it was.
I guess that makes sense. England would have obviously, but England was in charge of the colonies. I don't know. It's a tough one. I have a hard time with that.
They just took it all.
There's Six Flags over Texas. I know that, and we had to learn that in 7th grade where we had
the Superman
Texas.
coaster, the Batman coaster.
No,
There's
no,
one in San Antonio.
Ferris wheel.
No.
Houston had one.
no. We had Six Flags over Texas. That's like that's a big
parachutes.
thing in 7th grade in Texas.
Yeah,
you
we
learn
had
Texas
that right.
history.
It's right over here in Atlanta too. It's
still
not
there.
that big a deal.
Yeah.
We got
Texas
it.
history.
We got it right outside the state line.
No,
It's
they're
not a
not the
huge
same.
deal.
No, the
It's not
one
a- it's
the
not
one
a
in
big deal.
Atlanta is absolutely god awful. The one in Texas is halfway decent. I wouldn't be caught dead at the one in
Scream
Atlanta.
machine.
Yeah,
I've been on it. I know.
It was a good.
Long time ago it was. Actually, I wouldn't feel like it. I wouldn't get on it now. I didn't feel like it was safe in like 1988, much less now.
I'm sure it's safe, but I don't know. I'm probably not in a huge hurry to get over there. But I didn't realize that there were 7 over Mississippi or over Biloxi specifically. That's pretty amazing. Need to probably dial in on the history again. I'm a little rusty on some of the history.
Get going. Now that you're back organized again, I think you set aside a good 30, 45 minutes of history every day.
I think that makes
pick random history and start to read up on it.
And I'm trying to think of like how many different topics I would have to go through before I got to Biloxi history.
Well, now you know you just start there.
Yeah,
That's where you get going.
that's it.
You figured that out.
That's where we're heading.
It was interesting though being at a wedding. I mean, I think you went to one either earlier this summer or last summer. We haven't been to a wedding in a long time.
We went to one earlier this spring, and I got one coming up in 12 days.
Well, my wife and some of the other folks and some of our friends kept talking about how different things. Oh, it's so different now. I can't believe how many things are just out there. I didn't think there was that much that was that different, but there were a couple of things that, and maybe it was just unique to what Josh and Savannah did. I don't think all of it was. One thing I will say is there's this deal now called the Tux Box or the Tux in a Box, something, where
You have to build
don't
like a
have to-
tux. Build a tux.
you do it online and then they literally ship it to you.
Yeah.
And so I got my tux and it's everything. And if it doesn't fit right, you can send it back, which I should have, but didn't, of course. I've kind of looked.
I'm just
little
glad that you
silly.
got it to begin with.
I did get it, which was great. A funny story about that is that when I packed the car Friday night, we were trying to get everything done because my son's birthday was Thursday night. Son's birthday was Friday, so we were going to do like birthday stuff with him Friday morning before we left, which we felt like terrible parents for leaving on his birthday.
Yeah.
The things you do for certain people, man. Like, and I don't know if they always appreciate it, but maybe Josh will one day. So we left. He got cookie cake for breakfast. I think he was good. I think he was fine. So I tried to get everything in the car Thursday night so we could leave. And my wife comes walking out with this giant hanging bag. She's like, "You might need this." And I said, "What is that?" She said, "It's your tuxedo." She said, "You took it out a while back and put it on the hanging rack over there, and you were about to leave without it." So that would have been rough.
That would have been a tough turnaround.
What would you have done? Had
Probably
you
drive home and
forgotten
gotten it.
Okay.
Hire an Uber,
Yeah, I don't know.
DoorDash a tux.
Haney, I need a big favor.
Yeah. He'd probably be in the top 10 people I'd call.
No, because I know people that would have done it for a lot less.
I would have probably called a friend with a plane.
And that's too expensive.
Well, I wouldn't have paid for the plane.
There are
Just,
humans-
Hey, you guys
there-
want to go to Biloxi this
There are
weekend?
humans that I know that would have done that for $100 plus gas.
Damien?
One might be sitting about 10 feet away from you.
Yeah, but the likelihood of getting there is not high,
It's absolutely fair.
which would be the concern.
So that was one. There's an app now that you can just push all your pictures to, like a wedding app.
Yeah.
I don't know how to figure that out. I'll just text them all the pictures I took, but that's a thing. So one thing my wife kept bringing up is, so they got married last weekend. And then they had the ceremony and whatnot this weekend.
Yes, that
So
I've
that
noticed
was
is a little that I've noticed is that's not uncommon.
Saving people a lot of time though. Like, we don't have to go and the whole thing and the vows and all that. Y'all do that with your close people, and then your fake friends get to actually see you party.
Gotcha.
Also, they did a private dance at the end of the reception.
So the first dance and did they
Did
do the
first
last
dances,
dance?
and yeah, they had
Gotcha.
a couple different ones there, and then it was over at 10, and basically everybody left, and they did another private dance.
So nobody watched the private dance?
I bet the band did.
That's great.
So it's not a private dance. It was just
That's what it was called, though.
Oh, okay.
It's a dance y'all can't watch.
Are you sure they danced?
No. Not sure what happened or if it took place. I think we heard some music while we waited. And then
Love
they did
that.
the exit where they didn't have anything to throw at them, though. Maybe that's going away, too.
So y'all just stood outside while they danced and waited for them to exit so y'all could cheer?
I don't know, honestly, it went by so. I mean, it wasn't like it
The
was
wedding
30
day
minutes.
just goes by so fast.
Well, I mean, the cocktail hour was set up outside the tent, so everybody came out. By the time everybody got situated and said 7 words to somebody, then they were coming
7?
out. Maybe 17.
Love it.
There were some talkers there.
Yeah, a
That's
couple
some
folks
nice
filling
people.
it up.
Well, his wife worked at Alabama at one point, so there were 2 Alabama offensive linemen there. So I had a lot of conversations with them. As you can imagine, that was a lot of fun.
How do you guys figuring out this sort on the front side, Mike Sam?
My wife may or may not have tugged me away from about 3 of those that I got involved in. Like Seth McLaughlin's parents were there, Malachi Moore's parents were there, so talked to a lot of them. We had some great conversations. My wife's not interested in a lot of them. She's not into the football combos.
Imagine
She talked
that.
flowers and dresses, but she got a lot of comments on her dress, so she was in heaven. She felt like it was a great day.
That's great.
It was good, but I feel like there's a lot of things different, which brings up the point: what would you do different on your wedding day? I would like to hear from listeners on this too. How different is your opinion on weddings now? Maybe your wedding, based on what you've seen, what other people did, or so on and so forth. Like honestly, if you had the option to take the check or walk, which a lot of people do, would you have done that? If you had the option to do something smaller and save money, use it for something else, would you have done that?
All fair questions.
Now it's hard now with kids and everything because that's your perspective is different. You look at things a different way, so it's some answers probably still wouldn't answer them the way that you did then that you would now. But here's the thing for me. There are things that I didn't have any say in anything that happened anyway. I'll give you a story. So we got married at the Grand Hotel down in Fairhope, Alabama.
Right.
Across the bay from Mobile. Not the Gulf, the bay.
That's the bay.
Mobile.
That one is for sure the bay.
Mobile, very gifted. Has a Gulf and a bay. And a river and a lake, I believe.
Well, you also
You talk
have,
about water heaven if you live in Mobile. You got everything.
You also have
Except
the
the
Delta.
waterfall. Got the Delta
Waterfall.
too. All of it, yes.
Maybe a peninsula. That's the one thing they're missing.
I bet they can make one. So we had to go down and we talked to caterers. And they let us try some food. Flowers. I was like, what are we really pitting Florist against here? Did somebody did somebody like have a hybrid rose that they grew that's different than the others? You either have the flowers or you don't. So we had to do that. And then we interviewed the band that apparently was going to play. And this is how useless I was in all of it. We sit down and talk to the band. I guess there were questions. Like my question would have been, can you play?
That's usually
Yes.
question 1.
Done.
How much Wu-Tang do you know?
Yeah.
Well, here we go. So they have the conversation and they kind of look over to me. My father-in-law was the best about this because he kept kind of grabbing me and just being like, you and I'll be over here.
Yeah.
Like, this just isn't for you. It's okay. You just do your thing. And so then they're finished with whatever questions there really are for a band before a wedding. And they kind of looked to me and like, you good? You good on everything? I said, I have one request. I said, if it's okay, just one thing. And they said, sure. And I said, can we just get one song by Kanye? Just one. You can pick it. I don't care which one. And literally the lead singer looks over me and says, yeah, we don't do that. And I just got up and walked out.
Where were they from?
Congrats, man. Thumbs up to you.
Where were they from, though?
Who knows? The depths of hell? I can't remember.
If you bring like a Southern swing band, you're probably.
It wasn't a Southern swing band.
It probably was.
What were we out there? What do you think we're out there
Guarantee
doing?
it's
The twist?
It's a 12-piece,
Come
fancy
on, baby.
ensemble. Our wedding band did play Kanye. Our wedding band played all those things. But if you're in the deep South, you got to have
Define
like
those things.
I think they played everything from Party in the USA and to
When I think
to
Kanye,
Gold Digger.
the next thing in line is Miley Cyrus.
Well, exactly. That's precisely
And
why I
don't
used it as
put
an example.
Montel effing Jordan in that category, okay? This is how we do it. That doesn't count to, and you're probably categorizing
Okay,
that
I'm
right
not.
there with Kanye.
I'm
And
suggesting
trust
that
me,
Miley
we got
Cyrus
that one
is the
Saturday night.
Miley
That's
Cy-
one of your 5 has to be played at every weddings in the history of weddings.
No.
Yeah, we got it. You know it. Nobody likes this song anymore.
You have Shout from
We got that one.
you got that one.
Stupid.
That's your standard. But our wedding band they were a band called Limelight, and they were unbelievable. They were all over the place. They had about 12 different singers. It felt like that they just rotated and did different things. They did Michael Jackson covers to Kanye. Like they had
This may
rap.
have been that band. I'm being dead serious.
They were unbelievable.
They had 4 singers up front and then like 6 band members. They're 20 deep up there.
Yeah.
They got an orchestra.
So wait a minute. If that's the case, they did Kanye for him and not you?
No, we didn't. I said that was their Saturday night, not at my wedding.
Oh.
Did they do Kanye
Where
on
that
Saturday
trash
night?
band is that played at my wedding.
Yeah, I guarantee it's like a 12-piece, like, all the typicals.
They did all the typicals, and
Yeah.
then they did the whole mix in and out. I will say I will give one song going to the next. You can't figure out what it is for 7
It's a
seconds.
mashup.
And it's like, oh, I like this one. It's like, you don't even. My wife's like, I love this one. Do you even know what this is yet? They haven't even fully transitioned to the new song.
Man, it's
but
tough.
she doesn't care. She'll dance to literally any song. The band gets going, and I was out talking to somebody. I walk back. Sure enough, front row. There's my wife by herself, just going at it. She loves it. You can't keep her off the dance floor, and I don't do it.
Was it awkward being at a wedding with a bunch of people you didn't know?
I knew a lot of people there.
It just feels like
There's
feels
some
like
people there.
sometimes.
Some people there I didn't know. Are you talking in general or this
No,
weekend?
generally.
Oh.
Like, I mean, this weekend,
Oh,
I
no,
guess it could have applied.
I've been to some weddings where you kind of have become friends with one of the people, so the background people and then the people they work with you don't really know. It's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. No, those are
Hey.
the most awkward. And I just remember like a couple times being at that wedding that you don't really know anybody outside of maybe the groom and or the bride. You don't know their parents. You don't know their friends. You don't know anybody. And you're sitting there and your wife wants to dance. I'm like, that's the only thing I can do right now because I dang sure not going to have a conversation with any of these folks because I don't know who they are.
Some people would say those weddings is just an excuse to crank it up.
Get
Got nothing
after
to
it.
lose.
No, because you don't
just
know
get
them.
after it.
You don't know them. You don't have enough built-in equity. If you get after it, then you could be the guy that gets judged the next day. Oh, hey, remember when what's his face was standing by the bar? The TV guy. He's on ESPN. Yeah,
Up on the message boards.
yeah.
There may or may not have been a couple guys that are in control of some message boards down there this weekend. So I had to really behave.
Yeah.
Don't go put that on something insider. Don't need that.
Love that.
That's a joke, by the way, for you people that are about to post it. It was a very nice conversation we had. All right, so you let us know. What would you have changed? Greg hasn't technically answered that yet, so we'll discuss
Well,
that.
I don't know how much I would have changed, but I'll explain in a minute why.
Because it's going to be part of our conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't have a read for you, but you can tell people about Family Care Dental if you want.
Oh, well, perfect. Well, Family Care Dental is great. I know before my wedding, I would have gone to the dentist for sure, make sure everything's all taken care of, and I've gotten the free teeth whitening that comes with their routine appointments. So, look, Family Care Dental is going to make it easy on you. They can see you on Fridays and Saturdays, and they also have locations all throughout the area so they can get you in and get you taken care of with no problems whatsoever. Most insurance plans are accepting patients of all ages for emergencies or routine appointments. So go and check them out. It's Family Care Dental in 5 locations: Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trussville. Go and check them out by calling 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
All right, so we'll ask the question, what would you have changed about your wedding now? And what would you do different now than you did when you were married? 800-239-9569. Text in 205-834-9450. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. We'll discuss it after this on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I go back to the question of what would you have done different at your wedding. I attended a wedding this weekend, and my wife just made multiple comments about how different things were than when we got married. Mainly, I'm not going to sit there and say I would have done anything different because I didn't really do a whole lot.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I'm shocked.
Would you have changed anything about yours?
No, not really. To be honest with you, like I loved our wedding. I thought it was a blast. I do think, like looking back at it though, it's kind of amazing how expensive weddings are, and like knowing a little bit more now, like the what money looks like and what a value. Like I probably you could have made the case that like taking that money and putting it to work would have made a lot more sense. But
Okay.
I don't think I would have done it. Not at 26 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
27.
If given the option to elope with extra funds in pocket, would you have?
No, not me. I like the party too much. It was like literally, it was one of the best days ever. Like
we know
super
you.
fun.
You love the party.
Yeah, love the party.
It's somebody else who loves the party, who joins us each and every Monday at this time. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. It's Paul Feinbaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, rental works, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Feinbaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Feinbaum.
Paul, always glad to have you in on a Monday morning. We're asking the question, what would you have done different now than you did at your wedding? Is there anything you can think of that you either wouldn't have done, wanted to have done, would do now, would do different? What sticks out for you?
Yeah, a couple of things. I got married a little bit later than you guys. I was in my early 30s, and I wanted to have a very small wedding. We had it at the Donnelly House in Birmingham. I'm assuming it's still around. And my only regret was it wasn't even smaller because, I mean, there were a couple of my best friend from college decided to show up uninvited, which upset every other one of my close friends who wasn't invited. It just, I mean, I did it primarily for my mother. A lot of things were done for her specifically, which I won't get into in terms of the ceremony and how it was done. But it was a great day, but it was even better when we got on a plane the next morning and went to London.
There you go. That's one area, like we waited 2 months before the honeymoon, which was a huge regret, like looking back at it. The honeymoon needs to be immediately after the wedding. That's when it's going to be best served. But that was a big regret there, for sure.
No, Greg, the honeymoon was one of the. I mean, it was just spectacular because
Yes.
I had never been to London, but I mean, listen, we see it every day, and I'm not giving a tutorial on 23-year-old girls in Mountain Brook on how they shouldn't have a blowout wedding and break their father's bank account. But it's forgotten. Everybody has one. It's forgotten so quickly. I think the honeymoon is more important than making sure you got the right caterer for the wedding.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that, Paul. Are we sure that we know what the right formula is for the future of the college football playoff? Because I think a lot of people are now confused after SEC meetings, feeling like maybe one way was desired, now a different way is desired. What is desired right now by the Southeastern Conference, and then where are the other leagues as far as how this format should look moving forward?
Cole, what I took away from 3 days in Destin was that the SEC has finally decided it's sick and tired of waiting and worrying and trying to deal with the rest of college sports. And I was really impressed when Greg Sankey told us on our final day there that everything we have to do doesn't have to be unanimous. We all know what that meant. And I'm not suggesting a secession, but I am suggesting that it's time that the Big Ten and the SEC, who apparently are aligned very well, do what they want to do. And if the rest of college sports doesn't like it, too bad. You can join us or not. But I'm so sick of hearing all these half-cocked proposals to make sure that everybody in the room gets something. This is not little league baseball. This is the absolute zenith of college football, and it should be treated that way as opposed to making sure everybody gets a third place ribbon.
Well, it's understandable why they're trying to secure their future, because if they don't at least carve out a decent sized piece, and the next time they do this, their piece might be even smaller. So If you were, say, the commissioner of the ACC or the Big 12, what would you do, Paul?
They're both really smart people. I know one of them extremely well and like them. And I'm just saying that because what I'm about to say may sound crass and cruel, but I would get along and try to make sure you get exactly what you laid out, Greg. They don't have a lot of leverage. I don't mean to sound like the president at when trying to make a deal, but that's exactly what we're doing here. We're making a deal, and quite frankly, they're getting more than they probably deserve. So get a piece, try to get along. Don't try to tick off everybody by playing good of the game, nonsensical coordinated statements, and make sure you represent your league as best you can. That's all they can do. And quite frankly, if they get a couple of AQs, that's probably more than they deserve. And I know I'm lighting the torch that we had going on last December, but Greg, I mean it was a frustrating couple of days, talking to every commissioner and football coaches at the best league in this country, and at a high point, try to act like we have to make sure that SMU gets an equal opportunity. Well, that's not what this is all about anymore.
Paul, also moving forward, as far as kind of where things will be, we're seeing now one thing that I believe we probably all thought was going to happen. Jeremiah Dickey, the AD for Boise, announced that they'll be exiting the Mountain West and has a logo with the Pac-12 on it in his tweet, saying essentially that's where they're going to go next. We kind of figured this was going to happen. I think it's a good move to use some historical branding to help that league maybe appear to be better than it is right off the bat. But my question is, how big of a domino will this be for realignment? Is this only going to affect the Mountain West, the Pac-12? Is this kind of where we were a couple of years ago, where this is something that is going to ignite bigger and broader moves across the sport?
I think if you're a like-minded team, and there are a couple of in the same area as Boise, you'll probably look at that and go, maybe this is a moment in time. But I don't think you're going to see the complete domino effect, because I don't think there are that many pieces. I mean, yeah, there's some schools in some of the Power Four leagues that might be looking around going, what have we gotten ourselves into? But I don't think this is going to be a tipping point, a seismic event, one of those moments that we go back in and go, wow, I didn't expect an earthquake to occur from one or two schools moving.
Do you think the Pac-12 is a real player outside of just a name alone? Because it's a little bit irritating, like the whole, welcome to the Power Five and stuff. It's like they're not the Power Five. They're Mountain West with a different name. And it's not to be negative. I don't view them any differently today than I do, say, the Mid-American, the Conference USA, or the Sun Belt. Pac-12 is the exact same in my eyes.
I don't want you to be negative, Greg, because you have to deal with all these people, but I will be. They're a dot on the map. I don't consider them anything, frankly. They're the burned out remains of a once respected league, and it's not their fault. They just got left home, and that's really their problem, not ours. And they don't really belong in the conversation about the future of the CFP.
Paul, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping in this morning, and look forward to having you back again next week.
I can't wait. Thank you, guys.
Paul Feinbaum. I'm not sure if something else was happening there that was more entertaining than us. I felt like it was. I didn't feel like Greg's question was that funny. Or me avoiding a follow-up there was that funny.
Yeah, he literally, I think he would have gone to scorched earth, but he's in a good mood.
Yeah. You always try to bring out the score.
I don't really try. I don't understand this whole we're in the Power Five now. I think it's smart for the Pac-12 to do everything they can to try to add as many quality programs as they can. But just because you put lipstick on a pig doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden back to being what it was when SC was winning titles, or when Oregon was winning titles or competing for titles or whatever it may be. Like, it's not the same. It's fine. You can tell me that the Eagles are just as good with Vince Gill singing lead, but guess what? It's not the same. They are good, but not as good. Kind of miss Glenn Fry. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, I get it.
Like Journey's not as good with Adam Lambert as opposed to Freddie Mercury. I'm sorry, they're just not the same.
Whew,
Freddie Mercury was the Journey singer?
No, I'm sorry.
That's
Queen.
Yeah.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
Journey, whatever.
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry.
Exactly the same. I have no. It's fine.
Steve Perry's legit, but yeah, Journey's not the same without Steve Perry. You knew what I meant. Adam Lambert, Freddie Mercury, Steve Perry, Journey, not the same. Not the same.
Refrigerator Perry, all the same.
Honestly, the Vegas.
Best Perry ever.
You think about Las Vegas.
Tomorrow morning
you got
on Jackson
Elvis rocking Vegas for a while. And
The band Perry.
Elvis rocking Vegas for a while, and now you just got an imposter. It's fine. Still wears the same clothes. Still sequined outfit.
Is it an imposter though if they don't have an option?
Still entertaining, but not the same.
Yeah. Is it? If you don't have, if the lead singer is gone, is it an imposter? Because you're not trying to be, somebody else is not still there as the option. I think it's just your only option at that point. I don't think you view it as, hey, we're trying to make this guy what that guy was. We got to find somebody to fill in.
They're trying to make it as the Power Five.
Wait, you're flipping the musical conversation back to, I mean, that's a good job by you, but I'm lost.
I'm talking
now.
about Pac. It's all about Pac-12.
They're not going to be a Power Five.
I don't think so either.
But I do think it is. I said this from the beginning. I think it's very intelligent to keep the Pac-12 branding, because there are a lot of people, unlike you, who cover the sport from a distance and cover the sport from 1,000 feet as opposed to less than a foot away, that will say they'll look at that shield and think that it offers strength. That's just how their brain will work.
Well, it doesn't.
Okay, but it does have branding, and it does carry some weight. Historically, it does. And you can say it's not that now, and that's true. And I agree there, though. And I'm not saying that they're doing this to try to trick people, but when you are watching a game 3 years from now, and it's a Pac-12 conference game, and you just hear that first in the open, as opposed to Mountain West Conference game, you're going to think different about a Pac-12 conference game. You just are, because when people were 6 and 12 and 14 and 24 and 34, they heard about big Pac-12 games and Pac-12 After Dark and these Pac-12 players. So your brain can't just erase that. It's not a real thing. I think it's really intelligent the way that they're moving forward with this. It's what they should have done from the beginning. They should have just gobbled up that entire league and tried to make some sort of a group of 5 super league. But at least they're moving forward with it and not just throwing it out, and now trying to make it something moving forward. Now, will they ever be on the level of the SEC, the Big Ten? No. The ACC or the Big 12? I doubt it. But there's some this is a good move. Boise's a strong program. We know that. They have national relevance.
No one disagrees with that.
And you have at least 2 programs that were once in the league that now still have national relevance, not to the extent that they once did. I'm not trying to say that, but I think it's the best move possible for what they have. So attempting to become an imposter of the SEC or the Big Ten, I don't think they can even pretend that. So I think they're making the best of what they have, and this is the only option really that there was for the Pac-12, or what is of the Pac-12, or what the Pac-12 will be.
That is accurate. That is the only thing that can be done this year or in the near future is what they're doing. So I think they've done an excellent job of doing what they need to do. But it does not change my outlook on them in the future. I think no different about Boise State today than I did about Boise State yesterday. The patch on the jersey does not change my evaluation. Still a ton of respect for the program. Still think they're elite in some areas. One of the best talent developing programs in the country in the last 20 years. You can still have the immense amount of respect that you have for that program and acknowledge that them changing the patch on their jersey does not change how I view them.
Gaylord Perry.
Not the same as Steve Perry.
Tyler Perry.
Or Katy Perry.
Joe Perry is who you're referencing.
The refrigerator Perry.
I got him in there. Luke Perry.
Don't know him. Perry Como.
Don't know Luke Perry? You're a little young, I guess. He's pretty big time for a minute.
He an actor? Yeah.
Mhm.
Feel like I know the name, but I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup.
No, he had a run. I guess it ended fairly quickly too. Perry Ellis, basketball.
Familiar?
That's first name Perry.
Yeah.
A lot more first name Perrys than I imagined.
Paris, France?
Mm-mm.
No.
We're not going to allow that one.
It wouldn't work, so that's the way they say it.
We have more folks chiming in on weddings. We'll finish that discussion when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. We asked the question, what would you change about your wedding? I will say Whitney Houston Want to Dance with Somebody is now a wedding staple.
Oh, yeah.
You think?
There have been some time between weddings that I've been to, but that's not one that I would have said in my, how do you say that? My wedding days, where felt like every weekend you were at a wedding, in a wedding, going to a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was not one that was played then, but now it's
that's been one. That's been one for a minute, dude.
You would add that to the 7, 8, 12. They're played at every single wedding reception, every single time. It just happens.
7, 8, 12. What is that?
The list of songs that are played at every wedding.
Sign,
Shout, like
sign,
you said,
steal,
Montel,
deliver.
Friggin' Jordan.
Sign,
no one
seal,
likes that song anymore.
Signed, seal, delivered.
That's one.
100% locked.
Here's the problem, too. Why does everybody act like they love these songs so much, and none of them listen to those songs in their regular life, ever?
Because it's
This is how everybody goes crazy.
That's-
Nobody puts that on their iPhone. Not a single person's
Why are
riding
you
down the
so
road
down?
today saying
That
"This
song is
how
not
we
that
do
bad.
it."
No, it's not.
That song
Nobody.
is not that bad.
It's a dumb song.
I'm not saying
It's
I'm gonna
dumb.
like go and listen to it, but it's not that bad. It's usually like the thing that bothers me about it. It's
People
almost
react
always
like they just hit a $5,000 scratch off when it comes on. It's not that good of a song.
You don't need to be mad at us. We're not putting together the playlist, all right? So don't yell at us. But I understand your frustration. Here's the problem. There's like a time and place. There's a time and place. I don't regularly listen to Sweet Home Alabama in my car.
Well,
Okay? I just don't.
that one made it too.
You just made a third of our listeners cry.
I don't listen to that regularly in my car driving around town. But guess what? Pre-gaming before a football game, and or a basketball game, and or anywhere
Wedding reception. in
anywhere on
Biloxi.
the lake, literally anywhere on the lake. I don't care. Boat, backyard, I don't name it. I probably listened to that song 8 times last week.
Cornhole's available, yeah.
Anywhere cornhole and or a disc is in the air, frisbee.
Discus. Okay.
Disc,
Oh, disc.
not
I
discus.
thought it was like discus.
I'm not regularly throwing discus in my backyard. All right, but yes, I've been known to.
Sweet Home Alabama with the 2A track.
Yes, any bar ever, including like nice fancy bars and weddings. It's a phenomenal song, one of the greatest of all time. The other song that I love hearing, Simple Man.
It's a great
By
song.
Leonard Scott's best Southern rock song, I think, in the history of music. Personal opinion, you can disagree. Totally fine with that. I
A lot
know
of
you
people
Probably
would.
think it's Florida Georgia line or the Republic of Florida Georgia line. But
It's Republic of West Florida.
Yeah, the
Greg.
Republic
It
of
lasted
West
2.5 months.
Republic of
We looked it
West
up in the
Florida
break.
Georgia line. All right,
Short
sorry,
run.
my
Florida
bad.
Georgia line went away
Okay.
like the Republic, so
Like
they're
Simple
both
Man
gone.
to me is best around a campfire. Like anywhere else is really good, but around a campfire, there is no greater song on planet Earth than Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. I don't know why that is, but it
I
just
feel like
is.
it needs to be like front porch of a cabin overlooking the mountains.
Same thing. If you're sitting on the front porch of a cabin overlooking the mountains, you don't have a fire going, what's wrong with you?
Probably don't want to light the house on fire, but yeah,
Well, YOLO. You got to take that chance.
I guess so. If we had an insurance sponsor, that's where I would have thrown it in right there, but we don't have that on the show. But if you did burn your house down and need a new one, you could probably call Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas group. They would be able to help you not only find what's available, but maybe know what's coming available before it actually does. That's because they've served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Gusty Goulas Group, recognized both nationally, locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. You can trust Gusty's aggressive and proven selling system. Brokered by eXp Realty. Call 205-542-1996 or visit GustyGoolsGroup.com today. All right, Damien, you have a wedding story. John, do we need another break before we get to this story?
Yes, this one's going to be a long
We will
one.
continue wedding stories. When we come back on the other side, we have some other folks that are chiming in on weddings as well. We'll get to that next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Jamie Bailey tweets in, offered my $10,000 to elope. She said no, it cost significantly more than that. What do we think
Wait, so you have leverage. If he chooses to elope, then you have to be dollar for
I think it was
dollar?
a she. No. But I'm just saying, we asked the question earlier, if you could have taken a check and not had the wedding, would you have done it? And a lot of people would years later say yes, as opposed to that. The reason that is not a valid discussion for us is that's not our decision. It wasn't then, it wouldn't be now. If the wife would have said, yeah, I want to do that, then we would have done it. That's it.
I find that shocking. You, not a wedding guy? Shocking.
Sorry, you didn't realize Party Boy was in the house with us here. We forgot how much you like to party.
It's not even about that. It's more I just know you, and I know to me, everything about a wedding seems opposite Cole Cubelic. I've known you for a long time, and I don't get the sense.
Weddings?
No, I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying you're against 97% of things weddings. Tell me I'm wrong. Dancing, no. Drinking, no. Like bad music,
I'm not against
no.
other people drinking, I just don't.
Celebrating other people, no. All right, those are 4 things right there.
I feel like I help give an award away every year. Yeah, that's celebrating.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count unless 2 offensive linemen are marrying themselves. You don't care. Unless the bride and groom are both over 350, you don't care.
Which does happen on occasion. Not against that.
Not against that.
The 2 heavy people wedding, by the way. That's if y'all big girls need love too.
There's nothing about that. It has nothing to do with the weight. I'm purely acknowledging the fact that you like offensive linemen. That's it. Anything and all thing offensive line.
That was a bar.
What is the wedding story you have for us, Damien? I don't know how to transition into that.
It's all good.
Tell it.
It was Conrad Van Order's wedding a couple years ago up in Coleman. When you talk about you're having a wedding with people that you don't really know outside the bride and groom, and Matt McLaren was there, so it was somewhat
didn't know him.
Yeah.
He's also not a person, alien.
Well, old friend.
Yes.
Old friend. But so it was a couple years ago, and for Conrad, he didn't have a band. He had a set playlist, which was cool. And like I like to cut a rug. At the receptions, we're there for a good time. Line dancing, I'm out there. No Hands has become one of the more popular
line
ways.
dancing?
Yeah, like wobble.
Wait, bands
wobble.
play No Hands?
No, it was a playlist. They plugged the phone up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, okay. If you're going playlist, yes, I could see that.
Right.
If a band played No Hands, that'd be impressive.
It'd be shocking.
It'd be amazing.
But no, so a couple, meeting some of Conrad's family and things. His stepmom, like she comes out on the dance floor. Like we're just cutting the rug, having a good time. So we leave, go our separate ways. Conrad comes back from his honeymoon, and he's like, "Hey man, I forgot to tell you. You injured my stepmom." Like, how? Like, what do you mean? You're like, "Yeah, man." And I thought it was the ACL. I tore her meniscus on the dance floor.
Wow, hold on. You did.
Yeah, like it was big. Like after
Like
she got done dancing.
Like you took the knees out.
I don't remember what dance it was, but I remember like she came out. We was having a good time. And I guess she must have turned too quick, and the knee buckled. And boom, boom.
Was it out in space? Did you get your head across? Like what?
I got leverage. I know that. But she ended up having, she had to be on crutches for a couple days.
I feel like it's faulty blame, by the way. I mean, it's not unless
she had to have had a pre-existing injury before she got on the dance floor with Damian Mitchell. I had to just go.
I find it interesting you're taking responsibility for it too. You're saying that you tore the ACL.
He told me that she was perfectly fine until she got on the dance floor with me. And I was like, I know I go after it a little bit when it comes to dancing, but I didn't know it was that bad.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I feel like I just really wish I had video of this. And if she didn't know, then how tough is she?
There has to be some video out there somewhere of this.
Well, how tough is she, though, to just sever the meniscus and just keep ripping? See, you just never want to show the opponent that they won by showing weakness. I don't care if you got to limp off. It's like that scene in Best in Show where the lady tweaks her knee and she's actually walking around. It's just literally just circling as she goes and celebrates. What was it, Winky, the dog? Like, that's what I can envision his stepmom walking off like?
She was a trooper. And the last time I saw her, she was just as positive as could be. Like, hey, it all was fun.
Hey, quick scope, get that thing
Yeah,
taken
cleaned up.
care of.
Yeah.
I feel like John's the only one that understands the Best in Show reference, by the way.
I missed
you
that. I
do.
don't know what that is.
Clearly, yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Talking about
I didn't
Whoever
watch-
Damien's
didn't
had
watch
it,
that
Cole
movie.
wouldn't bother with it.
There's
It's not even sporting.
I don't even try anymore with
I
them.
thought it was like horses or something. Like, I didn't know what we were doing.
Dogs.
Dogs, yeah. That
Yeah.
Too. It was some animal.
Close though.
But
All right.
yeah. Shout out to Conrad's stepmom. She's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Ended the dance session there? Like, did the injury end the dancing for the night?
For her, yeah.
Oh, not for you though.
No.
That's a humble
Still
brag.
Still a couple more songs out there. I had to sweat
to
through.
rub that in.
I mean,
What is the go-to wedding song for you?
no hands.
It gets the party going.
Neck.
No, no, I hadn't been to a wedding where they play that.
Rocky Top.
No, Cupid Shuffle. That gets everybody out.
Oh God.
No matter the
Not everybody.
generations.
Such
Not
a
every
bad
person.
song.
No matter the generations.
Tell you what it is.
Never stepped on the dance floor to that
The
song.
Macarena.
One time.
Macarena is
No,
where
I
it's
haven't.
at.
It depends.
Macarena is where it's at.
Or Wobble. I'm a Wobble guy. I love Wobble. Anytime that song plays, I'm out there.
Stanky leg.
It's a little older, but if it's played, we got
Anything
the jig.
T-Pain?
Two-step the remix. Two-step the remix. His bar in that one, we got it. Tallahassee Hero.
You're an idiot.
Just saying, it gets the party going.
With grandmother's there.
Yes, I'm
Wow,
about to say.
okay.
And they was
You
out there
must
dancing.
keep in mind that there are 90-year-old people at the wedding
And
in
if
some
they want to
cases.
cut a rug, come on.
Damien will break them off.
Literally. Ligaments and all. Sever them.
Just be careful.
Not great.
But it's always a good time.
All right, we'll continue the conversation of where the college football playoff is headed next, right after this on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Roy Philpott going to join us at 9 a.m. this morning. We'll talk Auburn Regional with him. Super Regional on the Plains this weekend against Coastal Carolina. Vanderbilt goes down to Wright State over the weekend. Texas also goes down, Greg, which makes it just the second time ever that the overall number 1 and number 2 seeds are out in the regionals, not advancing to the Super Regionals. Mississippi State, Kentucky out. Florida goes out against ECU. Bama's out. Not the best weekend for the SEC.
I don't think you can spin it. I mean, bad weekend for the SEC. You get touted all off season, all season, all throughout the postseason leading up. Oh, about how good they are, how deep they are. Hey, they might have as many as 5 in the College World Series. And then to have the performance that they had this past weekend was no bueno. There's no positive way to actually spin it. But at the same time, you got to be somewhat pleased with some of the performances from some of the teams, but taking an overarching evaluation of the weekend for the SEC baseball teams, not great.
Okay. So Auburn will advance, however, and it will be their 5th Super Regional that they have made, and they'll have it at home against Coastal Carolina, which will be massive. The way Mississippi State went out late, also not great. Couple ejections there when you knew the game was in hand against Florida State. They also hire UVA head coach Brian O'Connor, so we'll see how that one plays out for the Bulldogs moving forward. We mentioned with Paul just a little earlier also, Greg, that Boise to the Pac-12. There are now other rumors that are beginning to circulate about kind of where this is going to go, what this is going to look like. We didn't really finish our conversation on exactly what this is and sort of what this could look like once it's said and done. There's already 7 teams that have been announced in the new Pac-12. Now, you look at kind of what this league might be with Boise, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, Washington State. Maybe a team like Texas State makes sense as far as what this could look like. Other schools that you would look at that realistically they could add that maybe the Pac-12 should add.
Well, Texas State is one that makes sense. It's funny because we were looking at a scenario, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, where the Pac-12 is looking to add Texas and almost did. Now, fast forward, they'll just get Texas State. Be perfect. Same thing.
A little different.
Got to get your footprint right, but I think it makes some sense from Texas State's perspective, naturally.
Yes.
But from the Pac-12's perspective, I mean, you're already abandoning your roots in so many ways. Boise doesn't border the Pac-12, doesn't border the Pacific. Last I checked. But we've already seen this. We've seen the additions of Colorado. We've seen the additions of Utah.
Would you attack Texas State or UTSA if you had the option?
Personally, I would probably go after UTSA. I think it makes sense to bring both
and whatnot. I mean, at least you get that. I don't know.
I mean, like Texas State, I think is probably a bigger school. I don't know for sure off the top of my head. Texas State's not a small school. But I really don't know. It to me, it's 6 1/2 dozen.
Yeah. It's because you're not going to dominate the headlines in either one of those cities. Either way, but you do think about.
Or they might try to go get Memphis.
I don't know why Memphis just lingers out there.
And
it's one that felt like it's made so much sense for so long for so many different leagues.
I think they're only doing the Pac-12 or they're only doing the Big 12 though. Like I think that's the only one that's going to be for Memphis, and I'm hoping that with the addition to the new Liberty Bowl, that will be a really attractive spot for the Big 12 to continue to grow into.
Okay. I asked Paul the question also, do you think that this becomes maybe a little bit more of a domino for new realignment than we anticipated? And I'm not necessarily saying the Big Ten, the SEC go gobble up 4 new teams, but is there a domino effect here that, because it has seemed like in the last 5-8 years that when one conference has gone and made a new move, all of a sudden the reaction becomes greater than maybe what it realistically needs to be. There seems to have been a panic in the past where teams look at it as, oh, we're going to lose teams. We better go find somebody else. We better go gobble teams up.
Yeah.
There has been that reaction before. Do we see it again now?
I don't think so, because I don't feel like this is really changing a whole lot. This is kind of, I'm not going to say the bottom dwellers because that's too negative, but it's not teams that move the needle. Like, do you anticipate the big leagues and I'm including the American in that example. Like, do you anticipate the American who's at the G5 level changing, adjusting, and reacting to what the Pac-12 is doing?
Yeah, I guess a lot of the issue is there when we talk about reacting or overreacting or panicking. Who can you realistically go get?
There's just no one on the table.
What leagues can actually go pull teams away? Specifically, with it felt like 2 years ago, all the media rights deals were essentially redone. So you're going to have to go and have that redone as well, and you're going to go renegotiate again by adding a team, or team's going to be able to leave after that deal was just done, however long ago. I mean, outside of the ACC, which you're involving then courtrooms, lawyers, legal teams to be able to even have some of those teams try to escape.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of teams are coming up to the end of a deal where they're going to be able to just run and find a new place to go. So that complicates things as well, and it doesn't seem like that's on the table.
I guess I just don't understand. Like, I don't know what the Pac-12's deal looks like. I'm not sure. About the only thing that I can envision right now here in the near term. Like, I think if you look at the numbers, and the numbers came out last week, where the ACC, I think, gave $47 million, was it last year to their member institutions? That's cooking. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a
right.
good number. So when you look at what the ACC was able to divvy
Not
out,
per Florida State and Clemson, it's not.
Well, no, but I think that things are moving in the right direction for Florida State and Clemson, given the fact that they are now going to reward teams that get the most eyeballs. More eyeballs, the more money. Higher ratings, more money. All those are good for the big geese, if you will, in the ACC. And if it's good for the geese, it's good for the gander, right? So we will now kind of analyze where that goes here moving forward. But I think they're definitely stabilized for the near term. Doesn't mean that in 4 years they won't be. But I think for the most part, everything's good there. Big 12's, I think, in a really good spot. I do think there's strength in numbers. I do think it'd be beneficial for them to add Tulane. I do think it'd be beneficial for them to add Memphis. I mean, if I were them, I'd do it tomorrow. I'm not sure why they won't. But there is a hesitancy there.
Yep. I mean, it makes sense.
But everything else seems like we're in a pretty good spot. It's like, all right, do you want to be in the Mountain West? Do you want to be in Conference USA? Or do you want to be in the Pac-12? You choose. And that's about it. There's not really, it doesn't seem like there's anything that's going to trickle down and have a huge impact. This is all kind of the bottom moving and affecting the up just a hair.
I take you to the Mac and Cube Twitter feed, which you can always be a part of, at Mac and Cube. If you want to chime in to the show, you can also text into the show 205-834-9450. Bama Hater tweets into the show. Let's just call what the big 1-0 and SEC are trying to accomplish exactly what it is. A joke. Trying to justify 4 guaranteed playoff spots each is kind of like leaving Bama in the top 10 after losing to 2 unranked opponents, or OSU playing a 2-3 game schedule every year.
I'm confused.
Who does deserve credit per Bama Hater?
I don't know. But I'm still not sure what the point of the conversation is here. What are we aiming at? They're mad at the Big Ten and the SEC for having more power.
It's just trying to justify 4 guaranteed playoff spots each, but are they not reportedly on board for the 5+11 now?
They would rather do the 5+11. Now, the Big Ten...
I was going to say, and that may be against what the Big Ten wants.
The Big Ten wants 4 guarantees because they have 9 conference games. And they're trying to get the SEC to go to 9 conference games. And if they feel like the only way to get the SEC to the 9 conference games is to have the 4+4+2+2+1 model. So it's all in an effort to get the SEC to change their regular season schedule, because right now, if the SEC were to just dig in and go 8-game conference schedule, they're going to have better records. They're going to have better resumes, which would actually benefit them to go to the 5+11 model. So the tail wags the dog here.
Some other tweets coming in referencing some of the wedding discussions that we had earlier.
Oh, boy.
Marie tweets in, weirdest song at a wedding I attended was the Hokey Pokey.
Sneaky good jam.
Stephen Madrid tweets in, got to do the Dougie.
Also a good jam, but not sneaky.
Are wedding bands playing the Dougie?
I think that a lot of people go with DJ, in which the world is your oyster. You can play anything.
What would your choice be?
Number one song?
No, DJ or band.
I like band personally, but I'm a live music guy. I also appreciate, first of all, I also appreciate that budgets are a factor. DJ is more affordable, which to me makes more sense. Anything that's cheaper that's just as good, I'm all for. 100% support that. But I also know that there are certain music genres that you cannot play if you go with a band. So if you want everything, if you want the full spectrum, totally support the idea to go DJ. Because I've been to both. I've been to weddings with DJs. I've been to weddings with band. And there are some bands that are bad and some DJs that are incredible. And the DJ experience was actually superior to that of the band experience. It just depends. It's purely about the playlist. You got to be able to have a good list.
Our guy Kennington Lloyd Smith, who covers Alabama for The Athletic, he recently was DJing a wedding and used a clip from our show in one of his songs.
Really?
Like his introduction was on in one of his tracks.
Work hard.
I don't think it wasn't our old intro that he utilized, but yeah, he sent it to me. He's like, "Is this cool?" And I was like, "Yes." I don't know if I needed Ryan Haney to sign off on that, but I gave him the green light.
I didn't get the green light on it, so now I am.
Your voice wasn't on it.
Oh, perfect.
It's all good. Mikey tweets in, "Wouldn't mind a band rendition of Get Low at a wedding."
That's a good jam, but you can't do it. No band can do that.
Can they not?
That would require
Maybe at the Classic.
Okay, but it would require a 40-piece band.
Well, they got it there.
It'd be amazing.
I'm telling you, they almost had it Saturday night, and the bass guitar guy was just. He was an interesting watch himself. Greg Hendricks tweets in, "My daughter got married last year. Venue alone was $27,000 plus chair rental for 150 guests and tables, not to mention $3,000 for DJ. $3,000 for DJ? You could just plug your phone in."
No.
The other parents paid for open bar. We offered them all paid honeymoon trip to Italy instead and small wedding. They chose wedding. Most people at the time are going to choose wedding, I feel like.
I
got to start a whole nother savings account.
Yeah, you do. You're in trouble. But actually, good news for you. Talking to a friend who has, I will not say who because it's a notable person. He has said that the wedding now in some areas of the country, I don't think it's necessarily universal, but the groom pays for the groom's guests. The groom's family pays for the groom's family's guest. The bride's family pays for the bride's family's guests. That is like socially acceptable now.
Honey, great news. You can have your dream wedding. Bad news. You and your mom are coming.
Actually, hang on.
Judge and Locke will
both
watch
your
from
brothers,
the hotel room
both your
patio.
brothers can come too.
No,
you know
they're watching from the guest room patio. They'll see you at the reception.
Well, if we go buffet, they can come. If we go seated cannot.
And by the way, the bar's closed for them. But there's going to be a great time.
But supposedly that's not unusual anymore.
What part of the country is this?
He's from the Northeast.
Why would you do Sean like that?
It's not Sean.
Don't sell Tess out like that.
It's not Tess. But you think I have two friends in the Northeast? Two? That's it? And they have to be play-by-play partners of mine?
Oh, $27,000 for just a venue?
Oh, is
that everything that came with it? Or
no. Nice
so that's
try.
just to say you are allowed to use this spot for this 4 hours this night.
Correct. Look, I'm. If you're trying to get out easy on the wedding,
I'm not trying to get out easy. I just want to have an idea what the number's going to look like.
Well, add inflation.
I don't want to put a lot of it on an Amex. Like I would like to have.
Why? You get the points.
Okay, well then I'd like to pay it off.
And
the
you get a
next
nice
day.
rate, 19% APR.
Just let that float for a minute.
Perfect. I think you just go ahead and take out the HELOC now. Call it a day. I know when you bought your house, you probably had decent equity in the house. Just take that out. Take out the equity in the house, pay for a wedding.
Greg Skipworth tweets in, went to a wedding in Connecticut in the 80s. Mother of the bride was not sitting with her husband because he was sitting with his side girl. Brothers of the groom beat up the dad at the reception. I feel like that needs to be a podcast or a episode of Dateline.
Didn't know they rolled like that in Connecticut.
I mean,
it feels like Memphis.
That the whole reality show.
Hang on
right
a second.
There, just on
you got to walk me through this. How does the mother of
the bride
father
sitting
of
with
the bride,
her husband, not sitting with her husband, he was sitting with his side girl. And then
how
the,
does
the brothers of the group. So wait a minute. Mother of the bride, so the bride's mom not sitting with husband. But the groom's brothers beat him up at the reception. So technically not even related.
Right.
Decided they needed to take him down.
I think that feels
was it just for
appropriate.
that, or was it because of his antics at the wedding? Because if he was making a fool of himself at the wedding and the reception and whatnot, that's different. But if they did that just because of that, that's the kind of family I want to wed into right there.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
definitely.
that is a
that's my kind of bride party right there.
Street justice right there.
You don't show up our wedding like this. Sit with your wife.
To not only have
You see them
other
coming back
woman.
like tighten, adjusting their bow tie. Handled.
Oh, you mean Bolo? Well, depending on who, I guess.
I don't know, man. I feel like that doesn't feel real to me. I'm not calling bluff. It just feels so out there that I have a hard time believing it, which means it's probably true. You can't just make that up. It's too crazy. Everything's crazy. The whole world's upside down.
The Unhipster tweets in, my mom owned a catering business. Weddings were ridiculously profitable.
Yes.
Stephen Madrid tweets in, if money is not an issue, the Dan Band is the way to go for music.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you do.
What's the damn
Band
band?
in old school.
Huh?
The band in old school.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've had a couple people reference that now. So
And that's a real band too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you get a laugh out of.
I think
Whatever
it's
that song
funny the
was.
first song, and then
Right.
you're like, all right, I'm kind of over
And
this.
you keep going.
Yeah.
I'll give credit though to Josh and Savannah Saturday night. The first dances, or they did a little bit different because they kind of had to, and I respected the way that they did it. But the songs were not the entire songs, so it was like two verses of the songs.
Yeah.
Instead of making everybody sit there through 17 verses of a song, I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. They got out there, they got it done.
Well, it gets
And then-
awkward after it gets awkward
Yes.
after a while.
4.5 minutes in, when groom and grandma are dancing, you're just kind of like, we've seen it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm
We've seen
just not a good enough dancer to keep it going that long. That much
My
longer.
wife and I's
Like,
first dance was a catastrophe.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you got to be a good
It was a
dancer.
mess.
If you can dance, great. But you got to be a good dancer. That's to be some type of entertainment.
Yeah, you can dance if you want to, and if you need to, you can leave your friends behind.
Heard
See,
that.
I was taught people don't dance no more. All they do is diss. But Greg laughs like he knows that. He does not know what that
I
is.
don't, but it sounds dumb, just enough to laugh.
Well, you'll get down with Goody Mob one day.
Hmm.
We're going to have to hold Greg. He can wait, right? All right. Not McElroy. Another Greg, who is apparently going to clarify this wedding reception story next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Get to our buddy Greg Skipworth here in just a moment. It's going to clarify that wedding story for us. If you need to clarify your health, though, you need to go to Game Day Men's Health. Better yet, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. You can sign up for a free consultation. If you lack energy, getting poor sleep, feel on edge, all could be the effects of low testosterone. If you want to lose weight, multiple programs there, including new peptides that are in stock now. But peptides not just for the weight loss, anti-aging, better sleep, more energy. There are a lot of different things that they offer that can help you with your daily routine, help your daily health, just help you feel better. Get started today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com, a holistic approach to health and wellness, minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer. They just want to help you, and it's free. Free PSA test, free testosterone test when you go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com and sign up for that free consultation. Do it today and tell them you heard about them right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, and you save 10% on any service that they offer. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, we go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Greg Skipworth, who tweeted in about this wedding reception, now on to clarify. Take us through exactly what happened here and why.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. So I was 21 and I was dating this girl. I was going to sub school in Connecticut, and this is New London, and we're going to this wedding. She knows the bride's family, and we're sitting there, and the mom comes in, and she's seated, and she's like, she's not with her husband. Her husband was cheating with a farmhand because they had this big farm, and I said, a farmhand, is he gay? She goes, no, it's a woman. And so the mom looked very attractive. She was in her 40s, and so the dad comes in. She goes, there he is, and he brings in this girl who looks as plain Jane as possible. She had kind of like horse teeth. So they're sitting in the back of the church. And so people are murmuring and all this. And so we get to the reception, and the dad dances with the daughter, and then the mom and the dad are supposed to dance. And he's had 3 or 4 too many. And he starts, I guess, getting a little more handsy than she wants him to be. And so she pushes him off and goes to sit down. And all of a sudden, I look up, and the brothers of the groom have this guy over in the corner, and they're just beating the crap out of him. And that's when we decided to leave.
Yeah, I think at that point,
I think that's where I may have made the decision to stay.
Yeah.
Been a lot more to see, a lot more. Hey, we didn't think it was going to be boring. All of a sudden, here
Cat
we go.
looks over at Cole, said, I think it's time to go. I'm
Actually,
staying.
It's time to get a front row seat.
I'm
We're going to
staying.
move up a few rows.
Hang on, honey. Let me go get my brass knuckles. I'm going to handle this myself.
Well, do you think they were asked to handle this? They just thought that they needed to handle it on their own? Or
I don't know.
I need a
because
further description of the brothers, basically, is what I'm saying. What are we dealing with here?
Well, they were. You could, if you want to use a football analogy, they were probably linebackers. You know.
Okay.
That's the way they were built.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they weren't messing around, and they looked deadly serious. You know, at the time, and the date I was with, she's the one that wanted to go, so I'm like, all right, I'm out. You know. But it was just kind of out of the blue. You don't normally encounter that kind of story when you're going to a wedding, and so it's just one of those things I've remembered, you know, almost 40 years later, and thought it would be interesting to share that with you guys.
Well,
and on a positive note, today is my 7th wedding anniversary.
oh, well,
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going out tonight, and we're actually going out early because we're still dealing with the vestiges of youth baseball, and there's a game tonight that we have to go to. So we're down to one kid in one league. So
there you go. That's
there
a
is
nice,
that.
it's a good place to be. My wife and I are heading out tonight too to do the same thing. So yeah, it's
Yep.
part of what it is. But yeah, thanks for sharing the story. Appreciate it, Greg, and congratulations again on your wedding anniversary.
Stay away from farmhands.
Come on.
The description.
There's a couple directions that went I wasn't expecting. I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa is
say-
right.
Man. Whew.
where to go.
I
after
got
that.
nothing.
Yeah, nobody does. Nobody
Careful.
has.
My mind is just blown. I mean, absolutely blown.
John, Damien, do you guys have anything to throw in on weddings? Anything you feel needs to be discussed, talked about?
No.
It was kind of interesting because the debate on like what to do with weddings now. Part of the reason, I threw this to potentially talk about today was that's something me and my lady have been talking about over the last little bit. Like, we'd much rather have a nice honeymoon, and yeah, the wedding would be nice and everything, but we know that because she's someone that she doesn't want people to like throw it all over her and doesn't see the point of spending 4, potentially 5, 6 figures on a wedding when like there's all this other stuff we could do. Like we want to pay to have people come hang out. Like we should just have a party at our house.
Okay, what would your advice be there, Greg?
I
If
feel
he
like
asked, he didn't ask, but if he did ask,
I just feel like 6 figures on a wedding. My mind I literally couldn't even think about anything other than that.
Stomach starts hurting.
Stomach, head, brain, body, back, knee.
But I just
It
threw
all
out
started hurting
27
thinking
grand
about
for a
that.
venue, and you're like, yeah, man, we'll get ready.
Obviously, of course.
That's the going rate.
Daddy got to dance.
That's the going rate.
You have my backyard for $100.
$100.
Yep. As long as you clean up when you're done.
Well,
Just tell us when you're gonna be there. We'll be gone.
if
How many
backyard
carpet-
adventurers are on here, you could throw in the fact
would.
that you have an
All right.
outdoor playground that the groom and bride could play on.
How many
You
carpenter
could do
bees are
your
there,
groomsmen
though?
party pictures on monkey bars.
They can play basketball with the basketball goal.
Little bride-groom crossover picture there.
Now that would
We
be
can even lower it
hilarious.
so you can dunk.
What if the bride and groom had a basketball background? They decided to play one-on-one, like in their gear.
That's their first dance.
This
Final
is
dance.
a one-on-one or a game of knockout.
Final dance.
Tell you, groom, you better win.
That would be amazing.
If you lose day one like
You
that,
play wed instead of pig.
Like that.
There you go. My advice, John, would be don't do it. Just save your money. Use your money for something great, better. But that's my advice. I mean,
That's what Cole says.
Once
Is he's
again,
got
it's
a
not my choice.
He's
It's
got a
not
wedding
my choice.
payment looming in 15 years. That's why.
not like you
I'm
don't.
trying to push her towards that decision.
I got 25 years. I'm in good
Got some
shape.
time.
Yeah, I have a 1-year-old.
Market's
I have
going to
time.
turn. Greg's in good shape. I don't know. I just don't. My wedding was awesome, man. Like it was fun. It was a blast. It was cool. But was it worth that many memories to not set yourself up with a down payment for a house? Or would you probably have better memories for a week-long trip on an island or something? Yeah, probably. And here's the other issue is that you're going to be doing it for other people.
That's
the hard
That's
part.
where right. And I know because like my family is going to come no matter where we go. We could do one of the hey, let's have a destination wedding so that way only so many people will go. No,
It works
My-
though, but it does work.
Well,
It's
yes.
one of the reasons we didn't get married in one of our hometowns is you get there's a cutoff that
Right.
comes with, oh well, if it happens there,
Yes.
this group of people have to
Yeah.
be invited. If it happens there, this group of people need to be invited. If it doesn't happen at either one of those places, they understand why they're not invited.
That is a thing. I would also say too, like we got married in Dallas, anticipating like we have relatively small group.
Did y'all ride down the aisle on horses?
No, should have.
When you left the wedding reception, was it in carriage?
It was in Dallas, not Fort Worth. We relax.
Oh.
Like
Did
all
you
right.
have boots on?
Did I have boots on? No,
Cowboy hat?
Got one.
no,
Belt buckle?
nope.
Bolo.
Was it a Texas wedding then?
It was not a Texas wedding.
There you go.
It shows right.
It was a Dallas wedding, which is basically California East. All right, it's a Dallas wedding. Okay, Dallas, not Fort Worth, not Texas.
Got it.
Dallas, different. It's like Luxembourg. They stand alone. All right,
Not Lubbock.
more similar to Monaco than
Yes.
than
That
Lubbock,
seems so.
Monterey.
Was your reception in the big green ball?
No, it would have been sweet though. Actually, after we got engaged, we went to eat there. The only time I've ever
never
been
been
there. The only time I've ever been there after I got engaged.
Is it a tough reservation?
No, but it's
Oh, okay. I just didn't. I don't
it's
know.
exactly
anything
what you'd
about it.
expect. A very average meal with beautiful sight lines of a very, very flat city.
There we go.
So
Oh, there's AT&T Stadium.
yeah. Oh, look, I can see Lubbock. Oh, I can see Houston. Cool.
Cole's backyard.
Yeah, exactly. I actually the wedding I really wouldn't change anything. I thought everything about it was so fun. I loved my wedding. And what I loved most about my wedding was seeing my friends from high school, college, NFL, what have you, interacting with her friends from high school, college. And it was cool to see like all the friends hanging out. It's like they don't know each other, but everyone was getting along and it was a really, really good time. So I think
Well, even
that
your friends from the different walks of life is cool to see.
100%.
One of the big advantages of having one is your family, your friends, and then their family, their friends, and then from all different periods of your life, all in one place.
That's
at
the
one time.
best part.
It's pretty cool.
It's really cool. And it's funny how like they've maintained friendships in some cases. Like my friends in the NFL are currently still very good friends with my friends from high school and vice versa. And we still have group messages amongst the group. Like it's really actually quite fun. And we're now 10 years in or whatnot. So I think it's pretty neat too. I think it's worth it. I think that there's a limit to how worth it is. I don't think I would spend like a considerable amount of cash on it, but doing the wedding and having a big wedding was absolutely worth it. But we did it in Dallas, fully expecting it to be a little bit smaller as a result, and it wasn't. So if you're trying to schedule somewhere else, thinking that, oh, yeah, they won't get there, think again. They're going to get there.
No,
and they should.
That's why I knew, like, what we have to do is figure out either something small or, like, do it ourselves. And, like Josh is venting and come back and say, oh, hey, this happened. Y'all can come and hang out here because my family will roll deep. Like, there will be at least 40 just straight up a family from my side going no matter where. So if that's the case, then I'd rather than have everyone spend all this money to go somewhere, why don't we just, if we're going to do something, I'll have it in y'all's backyard. So that way y'all ain't got to travel and spend all that money. Like the leader in the clubhouse right now is we have maybe, because obviously I'm from Louisiana. She was originally born in Ohio. We maybe have like a couple ceremonies, like, or maybe like one to where there's like a crawfish boil and something like that to where
a crawfish boil. She's from where?
Ohio.
So a crawfish boil with skyline chili on the side.
No, that's just gross.
What?
Yeah, no,
it's perfect.
Yeah, not for her. She ain't about that. No.
Is that her preference though? Crawfish boil now?
Between the two, yeah. Between that and skyline, but I mean, she also went to college in Washington D.C., so different kind of seafood enjoyment there. Yeah.
I'm not
cakes and crawfish boil.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this. My wedding day was the best day of my life. Like still to this day, the best day of my life. People say, oh, when your kids are born. No, go be a dad when the kids are born.
Yeah,
you think your wife's dying. You think your kids are going to like you. The day your kids, maybe the relief after the fact, the elation after the fact, but the lead up to when the kids are born is not that great. It's actually the scariest thing ever. So I would say that all things considered, everything all under one roof, my wedding day was the best day of my life. So anyone that decides to go all out on their wedding day, I fully support. I also fully support those.
Better than beating Texas?
Beating Florida would top beating Texas.
That's crazy. I was actually telling some folks at this wedding about those comments that you've said, and because we were talking, there's a story about when one of Josh's high school buddies, they were at that game, and when like they saw Tebow or something, and I said, yeah, it was their biggest win of the season. And they're like, well, no, they went on won the national championship. And I was like, nope.
No.
You haven't heard the guys on that team talk about that win. And I said,
we had no ill will at all towards Texas. We could care. I mean, yeah, we wanted to win, but it was really more of a relief. Like beating Florida was by far the bigger game. Like, no doubt.
Y'all had nothing to lose. That's what Tim Tebow said.
Yeah, we had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
We just wanted it more.
Had the pressure.
Here's another question I have for you on weddings, Greg. And you.
Oh, boy.
You got other John and Damien, if you feel like it's something that you need to discuss, you can too. I don't know if you've been in the situation recently. Speeches by wedding party. How should that go? How should you handle that? How should you manage that?
Oh, that's such a good question.
We'll discuss it on the other side next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:39 a.m. It is Monday, June 1st now. We are in the month of June. You can listen online, jocksfm.com, apps in your app store, iPhone, Android. Watch there, listen there, get podcasts there. You can watch the show every morning on YouTube. Search JOX945. Watch it back there. Also, tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill and listen that way.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year. They're the national champion of GMC dealers. They've won 5 straight national championships. They're a dynasty in the making. Just the short drive up to Coleman, I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. They sell more GMCs than anyone in the entire Southeast because the deals are unlike that of anywhere else. GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. Beautiful vehicle. The nicest truck, the nicest trim on the road. $86,805 is the list price. You get it for $15,000 off the sticker. You get it for $71,805. It's deals like that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers. But if you don't want to go and buy a new vehicle, they have the used car super center. It doesn't matter what your budget is. They have a solution for you. And the service that they have to back up that purchase is off the charts. Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager have done an amazing job over the course of the last 10 years, turning Bill Smith Buick GMC into an absolute dynasty. So go and check them out. It's a short drive to Coleman. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
So what is the go-to for groomsmen, bridesmaid speeches? Like what are your guidelines for this? Because for this wedding this weekend, it was kind of all over the place. It was funny. It was really light. It was like just, get up open mic time. And then it was like written, very formal. I'm just interested from you, like, where do you think that should go? How should that be? How should that operate?
It depends on the personality and the relationship, all right? That's the key. Shorter is better unless you're really good. If you're really good, you can go. I always say, and this is not a popular distinction, but this is something that I always kind of felt. I think it's somewhat necessary to have a majority of your speech memorized. I think it makes it more natural. I think it makes it more conversational. I think if you go up there and have it planned, written out in paragraph form, that can be a little bit challenging, not only on yourself, but also it just makes, and if you're holding something, it can make you kind of nervous. Like, I think it's easier to have like bullet points written down and then understand where those bullet points are going as opposed to just reading it verbatim. I think it makes it harder on the person giving the actual speech and delivery. I think having a joke is important. I am a notoriously solid, really good groomsman speaker. I'm good at wedding speeches. I am really good. You can ask any of my friends. I'm very good at them. Part of the reason why is you engage with the audience. You need to make sure that other people are brought into your speech. If there's other groomsmen there in the actual wedding party that you have dirt on, bring their dirt into the speech itself. That keeps people on their toes. They get very anxious about it. Like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't get me next. I think having an icebreaker, so to speak, where you're ripping on somebody, maybe the previous speech or the groom or something like that, that's always rock solid as well. So I think it's an art, and it's very, very fun, but less is more. Mm-hmm. Like, when in doubt, less is more. Try to memorize as best you can. I'm not saying you have to memorize it, but if you're going to write down the speech, do it in bullet form and know where those anecdotes within those bullets are actually going to go. But all in all, man, I have seldom heard a wedding speech that was not impactful to the bride and groom. So ultimately, it's for them. Who cares? All right. If you want to give a terrible wedding speech for everybody else in the room, but the bride and groom love it, that's all that really matters. Yep. Also, within the speech, thank the parents of the bride and the parents of the groom. That is something that is seldom done, but it's very, very important because ultimately they're the ones that are footing the bill in many cases for all the exceptional parties that center around the wedding. So I think making sure you do a bit of a tribute to them is also of the highest importance.
Totally fair. John, anything for you stick out on that? How it should be handled? Where you go with that?
No, I do think Greg is right in a lot of aspects. I personally like writing something out. I like going up there and not only making it memorable, making it entertaining. To me, I kind of treat it like karaoke. Like, you go up there, everyone's looking at you, so give them a performance. But yes, ultimately it's for the bride and groom. But like Greg said, if you're going to perform a karaoke song, you got to at least know the words. If you go up there and don't know the words, you look stupid. If you go up there and stumble, not quite sure what to do, you look dumb. So I always viewed it's a performance. And so if you're prepared a little bit, that definitely helps. But I would also say this. It's one thing to be embarrassing, but also keep it at worst PG-13, because chances are there are family and young ones, whatever, around. And even though it's for the bride and groom and maybe the wedding party, you still got parents and grandparents up there that may not know how some of y'all get down. So so even if you want to rib them a little bit, keep that in mind.
Okay. Damien, you're still in the stupidity age where it's just like get up there and make fun of everybody and try to make people laugh. But yeah.
No, like it's just appreciation and love. Just if there was a moment that I had, experience with both of them when I knew, because I've been a groomsman a couple of times, it's like, yeah, that's the one, big dog. That's another. That's
not
the
a
one,
humble
big dog.
He's not notably solid like Greg is.
Yeah,
fair.
like,
I'm good at wedding speeches.
Yeah, like
I am.
I've shared a few.
I hate to break it to you. It's my job. We ought to be good at it.
Right. Yeah, it's just appreciation and love. If I know for a moment that, hey, I know this is the one for you, big dog. Hey, appreciate y'all having me. But today is about y'all. Let's cut up on the dance floor, and I'll see y'all at the reception.
Okay.
I think another way too is like tell them, especially coming from a perspective in which you've gone through it before. For instance, you're married, you have kids, you have to deliver a speech. Like tell them all the things that they're looking forward to, all the great things that are coming. Like so many people reflect back, but ultimately the wedding day signifies a new beginning, something that's coming. So I think making sure that you lean into that a little bit as well is also of the utmost importance.
Okay. So that's I was just interested hearing, some older friends and then some newer friends and then family members. It all goes a little bit of a different direction. So where you would go, how people treat it, if there's something that has to be done, need to be done, the order. I think sometimes certain people want to wait till other people have the chance to go, but then they're not going to go. Do you just go up and go first?
No, I mean, in a perfect world, you follow somebody that's not good.
But you've experienced this like I know I have. I did this weekend. You get to a point where it's everybody knows they're waiting on someone to go first, second, whatever that is, and then there's that delay.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it's a little out of turn, do you jump up to keep it going, or do you just wait and say nope? You got to give so and so a chance to get up there first. Because this weekend, my wife was kind of nudging me. She was like, "Go, go, go."
That's tough.
I haven't. I feel like there's other people that
that's a tough
have
spot.
been here longer than I have that need an opportunity to go. And she was like, "It's been a long time."
That's a tough spot.
Somebody needs to get up there and go. And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it."
Is it at the wedding or at the rehearsal?
No, this is a rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, because that's another thing. A lot of people do them at the wedding.
But then that was my question.
Yeah,
because some of the people at the rehearsal dinner got up and spoke again.
Yes.
And then I asked two other members of the two other groomsmen, and they're like, I did that last night, man. I'm not doing that tonight.
Yeah. It's a tough. Here's the thing. It's all very personal. So like, it's all dependent on how close are you with the person. Do you feel comfortable getting up there and speaking on behalf of your relationship? Like, I think that's also important. I mean, and then again, here's the other thing too. Like, you might be a groomsman, but you're a groomsman by proxy. Like you're a groomsman because you are married to the matron of honor. Like you don't go and speak when there's actually somebody in your own personal family that's closer to the bride and or groom than you. You can't jump the ladder. You know what I mean? Like my sister-in-law is getting married here pretty soon. And my wife, of course, is one of the matrons of honor. I'm not going to give a speech because it's my wife's relationship, right? It's her that will be delivering the speech. So you can't jump the order too. You have to understand where you fall. So this weekend, had Kat gotten up because she's close with Savannah,
that would have been
that would have been
weird.
tough. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that's a part of it that I didn't think about. I do like where your mind goes often in as far as weddings and our discussions on it, that pushing it towards the couple. And
100%.
Not that I feel like I've ever not put them first or thought about that, but I don't think a lot of people go into weddings with that mindset. There are a lot of folks that get their feelings hurt over things that happen in or around a wedding when it should be your mindset that takes place. There are tough decisions going to be made. It's like I can recall vividly having the conversation with my wife and her parents, and the only thing that I added to the guest list portion was, They're like, hey, who are the people that have to be invited? Here they are. And then the other thing that I added when there was a discussion going around between them was, guys, keep in mind, like, there's going to be a line drawn somewhere.
Yes.
It's going to have to happen.
Has to.
Like, somebody's getting cut off. Someone's going to be angry. Someone's not going to like it. It's just, the lines doesn't go. It's not an infinity road where you just say, yeah. Oh, by the way, them? Yeah, put them on the list. It just doesn't happen that way.
Anybody and everybody.
But there are a lot of people that get their feelings hurt at other people's weddings about their treatment or their inclusion or non-inclusion, whatever it was at that wedding.
Really?
So your mindset, I think, is much more fair of, hey, this is not about us. It's not about me. Let's have fun here. Let's try to make it happen.
No.
So
not about you.
So we'll take a break quickly, come back, discuss this a little bit more next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Sidelines Bama has taken your quote on the show, Greg, about the SEC championship game that year. So it's now making the rounds. Get ready for your feedback on that one.
That would require me checking social media.
They missed the wedding speech.
Your friends can tell you about what it says. I don't think they're going to say, hey, man, they're mad about this online.
I don't think they're going to be too mad about that.
I don't think that I don't think people are going to would be mad about that.
I don't think so.
One thing we discussed during the break is the writing down of speeches at events like this. and how against it we are. Now, it's a little unfair coming from us because we talk every day. And not a lot of people talk in front of other people. I understand that can be something that's terrifying and that's not welcomed, but I just feel like if you would compress it a lot and memorize that portion of it,
yes,
you'd be so much better off.
I'm just telling you as someone that does this for a living. If you write it out in paragraph form, you're probably crying. You probably have, so it's hard to see. Your hands, you're probably a little nervous. You only have one hand on your phone. I mean, I'm not trying to get like old man here, but like your font's probably too small, and you're probably better off going bullet points. I'm just telling you, it's harder. It's harder when you write it out in paragraph form, I think.
I don't think there's any doubt.
I couldn't do it. Unless I have a teleprompter, I could not do it.
My biggest
and I don't
fear,
think a lot of people are carrying a telly up there. What if they carry a prompter up there?
Then you can do whatever you want.
That'd be amazing.
If you have that technology available to you, then have at it.
What do you
just go?
Everyone just carries their prompter up there and just sets it down right in front of the podium where you would deliver the speech.
It's like at the presidential debates, that clear screen that you can only see one direction off of it.
Right.
It's like, what is that thing up there for? Oh, yeah, they're reading off of it.
That'd be amazing.
It would be. But if you don't have that, then obviously you got to memorize a portion of it. And I just feel like my biggest fear in those situations are awkward pauses. And you're going to lose your spot.
You are.
You just are. Because you're afraid, you feel like you have to look up, but then you have to look back down to read. So you either read it the entire time and never look up, or you're going to lose your spot and there's going to be an odd pause. That's what throws me off. So, yeah. All right, enough wedding talk. We're going to get back to college football and college baseball. When we come back, Roy Philpott called the Auburn Regional, where the Tigers advance. He'll give us his thoughts on that Auburn baseball team now moving forward to take on Coastal Carolina, who is also in the news for reasons not including actual baseball. And then John Wilner is going to tell us about the new Pac-12 and some of his quotes last week on how the Big 12 and the ACC needing to be working together a little bit more closely to try and combat what the Big 10 and the SEC are doing. So a lot of college baseball, a lot of college football conversation coming up next, all right here on Jocks 94.5. try to connect with Roy Philpott here in just a few moments. Auburn advancing in the regional at home over the weekend, smashed NC State last night. And they will get Coastal Carolina at home this weekend. Did you catch much college baseball this weekend?
I did. I watched quite a bit, actually, starting with the ECU and Florida game at like 10:30, I feel like, or 11 o'clock on Friday. It was great.
It was it was an intriguing weekend with some blowouts, some competitive games like we mentioned. Texas and Vanderbilt go down. Not a great weekend for the SEC in college baseball. Coastal Carolina, by the way, who Auburn's going to get, fourth super regional appearance, first since they won a national championship in 2016, by the way. Duke will make their fourth super regional appearance. Florida State, their 19th. They knocked off Mississippi State yesterday. West Virginia's making just their second super regional appearance. UTSA, their first. Auburn, their fifth. Arkansas going to their 11th all-time super regional. Louisville, their 10th super regional appearance. Arizona, their sixth. I would have put Arizona ahead of that. I thought it would have been. There's a lot of these actually that are a lot lower than I anticipated. I would have thought Auburn had more than five, to be honest with you. Not a lot more, but a few more. And then UCLA is going to make their seventh as well. Roy Philpott was on the call for that Auburn regional. And it felt like the bats for Auburn are probably going to be the main story coming out of this regional, Roy. But some of those arms probably should be the first talking point with how dominant Auburn was over the weekend.
Yeah, they were dominant. Gentlemen, good to be with you guys. We had a great time on the planes, driving back home right now. That home run last night by Ike Irish, Cole, I'll probably remember that one for a long time. I mean, it went miles and miles, it felt like, right off the bat. And, the bats, I mean, I think the one thing that surprised me, I didn't realize how young that team is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got three freshmen last night. Between Chase Freilich and Bob Terrell and Chris Rembert. I mean, they had two on base and one was up the bat, and one of them drove the other two in, and then you had a freshman pitcher on the mound. So that kind of struck me. The bats definitely struck me. And look, the pitching was good enough. I mean, I think Auburn was clearly the best team in that regional, and the arms held up kind of how you hope they would if you're a fan of the Tigers.
After you saw them this past weekend, how much hope and confidence do you have in them being able to continue this run? I mean, it was a really impressive performance over the last few days.
Well, G-Mac, I'll put it like this. I mean, they got Coastal Carolina coming here this weekend for the Supers, and that's a team that can straight up mash. I mean, I think they've won 26 games in a row. They've already won 50 games this year. So I would expect it to be a slugfest. But, look, you're playing at home. They're probably going to have 8,000 fans at Plainsman Park this weekend. So it's going to be a raucous environment, and they're going to be a heavy favorite. So I think about that for a second, the fact that Auburn's hosting this weekend. I look at what happened with the top two seeds yesterday. I mean, guys, we haven't seen this but one time in a quarter of a century. Cole, I think you posted it on Twitter. We were talking about it on the air at one point, where the top two seeds have been eliminated before the Super Regionals. I mean, Vanderbilt, at the end of the year, was playing as well as anybody. They were the number one overall national seed. We know about the talent that Texas have and Jim Schlossnagle. They're the number two overall national seed. They get eliminated yesterday by UTSA. And so now the top two seeds remaining are Arkansas, who I've seen, and they're very talented. And a lot of SEC coaches will tell you that may be Dave Van Horn's best team that he's had, and that's saying something. They're the number three overall national seed. And then you have Auburn. So, I mean, look, mathematically, they're right there, and you're hosting a Super. I mean, to me, it looks like a team that should be in Omaha. And look, once you're there, you got a great chance. But the fact that Vandy and Texas both lost yesterday, and they're out while hosting as the top two national seeds is stunning. And for teams like Auburn and Arkansas that are trying to win a national championship, as far as I'm concerned, that opens the door. I mean, it has to.
Only the second time, as Roy mentioned, since 2014, the top two seeds have been out in the regional round. Or only the second time ever, 2014 the other time. So it is rare. And the home runs over the weekend, you didn't get as many there in Auburn. You got a couple of nice ones, but just 14 total. But you go to Athens, Eugene, Oxford, all over 30 home runs hit in that regional. 326 total over the weekend. Second most in a regional round behind 2022. Is that going to be the story moving forward? is just sort of batch power,
Yeah.
either how you offset them or can you drive in runs that way?
I mean, it was crazy yesterday. I mean, our game got away from us because, Auburn, of course, beat NC State 11-1, and we started going through some of the scores around the country. I think we did in the first game. First game we had yesterday, Cole, it was 17-12. 17-12 when NC State beat Stetson to make it to the regional final. And we're going through scores all day long on the air. And I'm looking at Jackie Bradley Jr., and I said, man, we got football scores everywhere. And look, I don't know the common denominator with all of it, but the balls are flying out of these parks. And, even though it didn't do it as much here at Auburn, it did just about everywhere else. And the home runs that we called this weekend were of the 430, 440-foot variety. I mean, they went. So, I don't know if there's something going on with the baseball. I don't know. But it's one of those years where, for whatever reason, ball's flying. And it's not just at one regional. It's been everywhere. So, I don't know if that changes, Cole, from round to round. Like, does something happen to some of these baseballs next weekend? I'm not really sure. But, that's going to be a story. And it seems like there's certain years where it's a bigger story than others. And this is one of those years where, if you're going to win it, you're going to win it all, you're going to have to score a lot of runs along the way to do it.
Seems like the SEC, I mean, coming into the weekend, everyone knew just the depth of the league, the quality of the league, how many great teams. The rankings reflected that. It was absurd how many teams were hosting, let alone would have been national seeds had they advanced to this second round. But after this past weekend, it's kind of hard to spin it from the positive with the disappointing performances from a few of the teams. So how should we be evaluating the SEC from top to bottom based on the first weekend?
Well, it's been disappointing so far. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, I still think, Arkansas probably is the most talented team in the country with the Alloy brothers. And if they win a national championship or if Auburn wins a national championship, the conversations you're hearing right now, G-Mac, will kind of fade into oblivion because that's what people remember the most. And, we saw last year where in Omaha you had Tennessee and Texas A&M play for the national title in that championship series. So let's see how the dust settles by the time we get to there on June 13th. But up to this point, to see the teams that have been eliminated, I mean, Georgia at home in a regional gets blasted by Duke and Oklahoma State, and it ends up being the Blue Devils that emerge out of Athens. That kind of surprised some folks. And, we've talked about Vanderbilt and Texas. But Jim Schlossnagle was pretty vocal after his game yesterday with all the UTSA fans that got down there to Austin that were making a lot of noise. And, again, that was surprising. So, yeah, I mean, it hasn't been what we thought. How about LSU? Guys, LSU pushed to the brink today against Little Rock, a team that has a losing record, coming into the tournament. And so let's see what happens down in Baton Rouge. So, yeah, there have been some surprises, maybe a little bit more than usual from an SEC perspective. But we'll remember Omaha more than anything else, and we'll remember a national champion more than anything else. It works that way in the NCAA tournament. All the conversations we have in March and April about conference supremacy. So let's see what happens at the Men's College World Series. And look, I think Arkansas and Auburn, they got a path to get there easily. And then let's talk about it then.
Speaking of paths, can you sort of describe the path to Jackie Bradley Jr. being without a rental car late Saturday night and how that entire thing went?
Oh, my gosh. That was crazy. So we get done with the two games on Friday. And, I mean, it's midnight Eastern. It's after midnight. It's, probably around 11:30 Central Time. We're walking out of Plainsman Park, and he backs his car in the very first space right behind home plate. Now, we didn't know it at the time, but that's typically where Butch Thompson parks. So JBJ stole Auburn's head coach's parking spot right behind the ballpark. We walk outside, and there's a hole in the rear window on the right side. And we're kind of looking at him like, dude, that's a foul ball. Like, you got smashed by a foul ball. And so we go look at that and then look in the back seat. The baseball call is still in the back seat off the bat of Chase Freilich. And he had to get a new rental car because you open the back door to try to get the baseball. And when you close it, the entire rear window went from a tiny hole to just being completely obliterated. So we had a good laugh about that. He had to get a new rental car, and Chase ended up apologizing to JBJ about it, which was pretty comical. But look, I mean, that's just karma, because you guys know, man. I mean, he played in the bigs for a decade, won the World Series with the Red Sox in 2018. Won 2 national titles with South Carolina in college in the SEC, and I'm sure he smashed a couple of windshields in his career. We just don't know about it. It's just funny. Chase Fralick does it one time, and then he gets called out and apologizes to Jackie Bradley Jr. So yeah, that was fun. I've never seen that happen before, and it's wild to walk upon your car and you just see the window is obliterated the way that it was. That was crazy.
I think I would have driven it though. I mean, I mean, it's probably the right move. Probably more heads up played to leave it and call the rental car company. But I think I would have just been like, I mean, I got to get to the hotel. I mean, we'll just do it there.
I think there would have been glass flying around if you would have tried to drive it somewhere. I think because I mean, there's little shards everywhere. I mean, there was glass embedded in the baseball that he had to pick out so that he could keep it as a souvenir. Hey, but look, welcome to broadcasting, right?
Yeah,
That's a
right.
rookie mistake. You step into your first postseason series on television. You back into the coach's parking spot, and then your car gets smashed by a foul ball off the hard-hitting catcher's bat. That was can't make it up, man. That's a rookie broadcaster.
First postseason event for Jackie Bradley Jr., and you guys play with the fire of having a graphic of phrases not to use around Auburn athletics. Why you would even do that to yourselves, I have no idea. Because even you almost slipped up a couple of times and got Auburn Nation on fire via social media. And you're going to put him in that spot too. I don't know who produced your game last night, but that might have been one that I said, you know what? We don't need that. We'll be okay.
Let me tell you where that came from, because you may remember this. We were down here 2 years ago calling a basketball game. And it was a league game, so we had eyeballs on it. And the analyst I was working with at the time, I think we were going out to break, and he said something along the lines of "Advantage War Eagles."
Oh no!
And I kind of looked at him, and I was like, no, you can't do that. So we come back from break. And I'm like, okay. I was like, we got to set the record straight here, because I know what just happened is not okay. And I said, so for the record, and this was on air, you can't say War Eagles. Like, there's no plural here. That's not the mascot. You can't
do it.
That's not what it is. And he apologized right away on air. And Cole, I think you texted me. You're like, hey, thank you for that, to let everybody know, what's acceptable. So we started talking about it before this weekend, and I was like, if we get a game or two that gets away from us, let's just make sure that people know that are watching, they're not Auburn fans, the right way to talk about Auburn. And so, it's Jordan-Hare Stadium, not Jordan-Hare, even if that's how you think it's spelled and should
Correct.
be pronounced. It's War Eagle. It's not War Eagles. It's not the University of Auburn. It's AU, things along those lines. And then, you can't ask an Auburn fan, are you the Tigers or the Eagles or the War, those kinds of things. So, that was really just an educational graphic, lower third of the screen, to remind folks of, we had Coastal Carolina fans watching last night, guys, so they need to know when they come to the Plains. Let's make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So we had some fun with it. It was late last night. We put that graphic up, and there were a lot of Auburn fans that appreciated it because, look, they've been through the trials and tribulations and had to deal with explaining the different traditions and names and the proper way to refer to Auburn. It was fun. We had a good time with it.
We appreciate you hopping on to help describe it, and look forward to catching up with you again soon, Roy. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Take care.
All right, there you go. Roy Philpott joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. We'll talk a little bit more about those games, get into maybe where we're headed with the college football playoff. John Wilner, who had covered the Pac-12 for a long time, going to join us at 9:30 to discuss kind of where things are headed next and some of his comments about the Big 12 and the ACC as well. All that's coming up after this. First, I want to tell you about our friends at Train. You guys know how unpredictable the weather here is in the state of Alabama. That's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. Find out more at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. I will say this. One band member may or may not have referenced one school in the state as Alabama University during the reception. There may or may not have been a certain feeling of joy that overcame me when that happened. I'm like, see, it doesn't just happen in one place.
No.
Happens to both of them every now and then. So
it happens.
It does.
Not going to be too. As someone that has broadcasted many times, I'm sure I've made mistakes like that at some point.
I still don't think that any of the faux pas was worse than one former head coach who had then turned broadcaster when Auburn was playing ULM, referenced as the play-by-play guy said, the Auburn Tigers taking on the ULM Warhawks, and going to break, they showed a photograph of the eagle flying around Jordan Hare, and said coach referenced said, yep, and we got a Warhawk flying around the stadium right here. No, we don't, coach. Back with more Mac and Cube next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:19, Monday, June 2nd, here on Jox 94.5. We'll get to John Wilner here in just a few moments, discuss kind of where the Pac-12 is headed. We did discuss earlier, though, the SEC potentially going to that 5+11 model, which is different than what some people thought going into SEC meetings. Greg, why do you feel like the shift has taken place?
Because they want right now to have a reason for there to be support for the 8-game. They want an alternative for if they decide to maintain the 8-game regular season schedule. I think that has everything to do with it. I think one literally totally impacts the other. Where you have, if the SEC keeps the 8-game conference schedule, then they want the 5+11. If they adopt the 9-game conference schedule, they want the automatic qualifiers. I think it's pretty simple. I think they are totally hand in hand. I don't know that for certain, but that's the way I've kind of evaluated the situation.
Yeah, it's and then I wonder too what the other leagues, if their opinions are now differing from what they wanted prior, because we discussed that this would probably not align with what the Big Ten wants, because the Big Ten and the SEC were aligned previously in what they wanted. So if the SEC is shifting their mindset of how they think the playoffs should be structured, is the Big Ten going to follow suit, or is Tony Petitti going to stay where he was, and then he and Greg Sankey don't see eye to eye on this?
I don't know. I think the Big Ten is going to dig in hard on the 4+4+2+2+1 model.
See, and
and I don't blame him for that either.
No, and I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but so why is Greg Sankey still taking all the heat for that then, if that's the case?
Is he? Because I think Greg Sankey takes all the heat for everything.
That's fair.
By the way,
I just don't feel like anybody has shifted anything towards Tony Petitti in the Big Ten, saying Tony Petitti's ruining college football. Why did Tony Petitti want to? He's looking out for the little guy, but Greg Sankey gets all of that.
Well, he gets all of it anyways. I mean, heavy as the head wears the crown. And I think everyone always blames Greg Sankey and the SEC for ruining college football. When in reality, when Texas and Oklahoma left for the SEC, it was kind of an understandable move. Like Texas 12 years ago had been, I guess, rumored to go to the Pac-12. Like they've been entertaining other options for a very long time, and Oklahoma was going to come alongside regardless of what the circumstances were. But nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that you want to know what really destroyed college football? When SC and UCLA left to go to the Big Ten. That's really what turned college football on its head, because soon after, Washington and Oregon decided to follow suit. As a result of the less than stable nature of the Pac-12 at the time, you had the four corner schools all leave for the Big 12 to preserve a future that would be somewhat predictable. I mean, the SEC always gets blamed, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think they focus way too much on the negative around the SEC as opposed to the positive. And I don't think having the automatic qualifiers is the worst thing. It's not the way I want it, but I don't think it's going to destroy college football as we know it.
Well, one automatic qualifier for having great products is Bromberg's. Our listeners need to know that.
Yeah, Bromberg's has been great for a very long time. They've been around since 1836. In nearly 200 years, they've been serving the community with the finest jewelry here in Alabama and throughout the Southeast. It's just a great experience when you shop at Bromberg's. All you gotta do is walk in the door at one of their two locations. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. The friendly, helpful people that know exactly what it is they're selling, that want to help put you in the right direction, because these purchases that you're going to make at Bromberg's, whether it's a natural diamond that is one of a kind and unique, or gold, platinum, silver, you name it, they have jewelry of all types. And if you go in the door at Bromberg's, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The massive selection and the helpful staff make it an experience that will keep you coming back. That's why I've returned for as long as I have. I mean, it's the only place I've shopped for the last 8 or 9 years. So highly recommend you going and checking out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and the Summit, or you can always look online at brombergs.com.
All right. When we come back, John Wilner will be with us to discuss the future of the Pac-12 and then his thoughts on maybe what the Big 12 and ACC should be doing to combat the Big 10 and the SEC. That's next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to get to John Wilmer here in just a moment on the Higginbotham hotline. It is 9:27 a.m. Monday, June the 2nd, right here on Jocks 94.5. Before we move forward, Greg, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Polar Bear Service, your one-stop shop around your home. If you got something going wrong, you got some issues, it always works when you call Polar Bear Services. Really appreciate the service that I've experienced from Polar Bear Service from a long time. Wes and the guys go above and beyond and really do an amazing job in so many different areas of your home. That's what I love so much about them. I just call them. I got a problem with my electrical. Cool, they come out. Got a problem with my plumbing? Perfect, we'll come fix it. But they specialize in the HVAC system. Right now, we know things are starting to heat up here in the great state of Alabama. Make sure you get out in front of it by getting a whole home checkup by Polar Bear Services. Remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Welcome in, John Wilner. He covered the Pac-12 for quite some time, still does so today, and going to discuss a couple of things happening with the Pac-12. But, John, first I wanted to ask you about a tweet I saw from you last week and a little bit of a follow-up story, and that was your thoughts on the Big 12 and ACC maybe working together more closely. You referenced how there should not be another spring meeting between either of these two entities without the other there in hand to be able to see, understand, kind of guide where things are headed. What do you believe should be done behind the scenes with those two leagues, and what do you know is being done now?
Well, I just think that, the way things are going with the Big Ten and the SEC, the way they are working together to find, ways to collaborate to generate new revenue, I think the Big 12 and the ACC have no choice but to do the same thing. Try to maximize what they can do together, whether it's some kind of scheduling agreement, football, basketball, anything to help them find more revenue, compete better against the Big Ten and SEC. I mean, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. And in some ways, competitively, we're seeing a real split at the top of college football. So I don't think the Big 12 and the ACC have any other choice but to look everywhere they can find.
When you think about where the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the ACC and all these schools are, how careful do you need to be? Because if you try to ask for too much, you could get wedged out in the future. I think it's a really delicate balance that needs to be struck where they do work together, but understand that if they try to take too much, then the next time around, they could be subjected to even less. So how do you balance that dance?
You mean next time around with realignment or with the college football
With the college
playoff?
football playoff.
Yeah, it is delicate. I mean, to a certain extent it is, but ultimately it will come down to, for 2026 and beyond, it's going to come down to what the Big Ten, the SEC, and ESPN want. I think you obviously, if you're in the room with the commissioners, right, with your fellow commissioners, you've got to try to, negotiate in good faith. But I also think that their backs are against the wall. If I were them, I would call the bluff for the SEC and Big Ten. If it had been last spring and they're working on the memorandum of understanding for 2026 and beyond, and Sankey and Petiti say, you know what, if we don't get what we want, we're leaving and forming our own postseason, I would have called their bluff, because I think that the backlash would have been so immense from the fans and politicians that they wouldn't have been able to, take their ball and go home. So what do the Big 12 and the ACC have to lose by pushing for as much as they can, given the format that they agreed to, the terms that are in the memorandum for the governance structure?
John Wilner joining us. You can find him on Twitter at Wilner Hotline and find his work at mercurynews.com. Let's move now to the former conference you covered on a very regular basis, with a lot of your time now spent on the Big Ten, the Pac-12 announcing Boise. Well, they're not announcing, but Boise announcing that they're going to leave the Mountain West and now be a part of the new Pac-12. I think it's first and foremost a brilliant move to maintain the branding, keep that shield moving forward. There are people that are just going to immediately place value next to that. Can you just talk to us first strategy-wise about where the Pac-12 is headed? We know it went through some rough times, but Is there a real potential for some sort of resurrection to gain some sort of power back in the world of collegiate athletics?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is be the best of the rest, the number 5 conference behind, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and ACC. So basically, the best of the group of what it would now be, group of 6, starting next year. And I think they've got a real good chance in football and basketball, right? I mean, Boise is the best. I'd argue Boise is the best football brand that's not in a power conference, and Gonzaga is the best basketball brand that's not in a power conference. And the new Pac-12 will have both of them. I think that the schools in the Mountain West, I mean, they're like everybody else. They're looking at the playoff for the next 5 years, and what can they do to have the best chance to get in the playoff? And they're looking at the playing field as an audition to get into whatever next chapter of college football evolves in the 2030s. And the way to do that is through the playoff. If you leave behind the lower half of the Mountain West and basically form a cream of the crop of what's remaining out west, it improves your strength of schedule. And I think that's what they're looking for. That's why Boise and, Fresno, San Diego, Utah, Colorado States, they didn't want to continue to compete with the bottom half of the Mountain West because of playoff access. That's a lot of what's going on. And they felt like the Pac-12 brand is much stronger, even though it's depleted, much stronger than the Mountain West brand. I mean, the Mountain West has only been around for 25 years.
Well, the Mountain West is solid. Like, I've always felt like it's a very, very good league, but I've never confused it with the Pac-12. So I guess my look, the Pac-12 can only take what's available, right? I understand that it's not like Washington's going to be open to overtures about returning, or Stanford or Cal or SC. So they can only take what's available, and I feel like they've done an adequate job. But I don't think anybody is necessarily beating down the doors to give the Pac-12 a huge media rights deal for the teams that they accumulated. So what does the future financially look like for the Pac-12 with some of their new additions?
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, their media deal is going to be something that's kind of similar to what the American Conference has right now, which is, an average of $8-9 million a year per school. I think what they're looking for most in their media deal is exposure. Because again, if you feel like the next 5 years are an addition, then you gotta be seen. So they're trying to get the most linear TV exposure they can find. I think the CW is probably a pretty good bet to be involved. And then if they can get some other games on, ESPN or Fox, I think they would be very happy. They still need to add one more football play in school to hit the minimum requirement, and there's a lot of question as to what that's going to be. Some people think they should go after UNLV. Some people think they should go try to get into Texas. I happen to kind of feel like Texas State is a good play if you're looking to acquire chips for the long haul. Being in Texas for football is never a bad thing. But that's the big question for them, is who's going to be the 8th football playing school, and then what kind of media deal are they going to get?
John Wilner joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We've discussed this a couple of times today, John, and you were in the epicenter of some of the bigger moves and biggest drama surrounding realignment in the history of our sport. Does this move of Boise, now official to the Pac-12, become any sort of domino anywhere else? And it doesn't even have to be the massive shifts we saw to the SEC or the Big Ten or the Pac-12 crumbling, but we know that being reactionary is very popular once one team goes on the move. Do you see this having some sort of a domino effect in the next coming weeks?
Oh, sure. I mean, Boise's not the only one, right? The other 4 all gave their notice. The other 4 schools from the Mountain West all gave their notice. Boise's the only one that I think that has gone public on social media, but they had to do it by June 1st to avoid an escalation in the exit fees from the Mountain West. So, the Pac-12 still has got to add. The new Pac-12 still got to add at least one school. The new Mountain West may add some more. They have Northern Illinois and UC Davis and UTEP coming in. But then you could have it go down to the Big Sky. I mean, the Big Sky's worried that the Mountain West might try to poach. It started at the top in July of 2021 with Texas and Oklahoma, and it could very well finish at the bottom with the Big Sky realignment. I mean, that's the dominoes all the way through. It's taken many years, but it all started in the summer of 2021.
Wild to think about kind of where we are now, maybe where we're headed next. John, great stuff. Thanks for hopping on.
And
Really
it's going
good.
to start again. It's going to start again in like 3 or 4 years, and we'll go through it a whole nother time.
Do you think it's as big that time around as it was this last time?
Oh, I think it'll be bigger. I think they're going to the whole sport's going to end up restructuring. Would be my guess.
That's when the big reset takes place. Yeah, the pull away.
And at what year do you think this could happen?
Well, my guess is so the Big Ten media deal expires in June of 2030, and typically you have to have your agreement signed 12 to 18 months in advance. So they're going to start figuring out their strategy in 28, 29. And so I think we'll start to see it. And that aligns with the drop in the ACC exit fees. I mean, it all is aligned in those 2 years, 2030 to 2032. Big 10, Big 12 contracts expire, NCAA tournament contract expires, CFP contract expires, all in that same window.
Very cool. John, thanks for the time, man. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks for having me.
There you go. John Wilner, Wilner Hotline on Twitter. You can follow him there. Mercury News, find his work there. Covers now the Big Ten, some of the Pac-12, covered the Pac-12 for a long time. Just some interesting thoughts, Greg, about where potentially things are headed next in college football.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating. And I don't know. I don't see the doomsday scenario imminent. I think everybody's pretty happy. Like I feel like everybody's in a pretty good place, at least in the near term, amongst the big daddies. I'm not talking about those that are, right now in the middle tier. If you're in the G5, you're probably not thrilled. But if you're in the FCS, you're probably not thrilled. But I think the Power Four are probably in a pretty happy place, including the Big 12 and the ACC.
Yeah, I don't feel like there are too many people's hands being forced right now.
Right.
And that's something that's been a little bit different in the past. So I think because of that, you've got multiple teams that, like you said, they're okay being stationary right now. They're not actively looking to either add or schools actively looking to get out. And that was very different about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When everybody felt like they were on pins and needles and it was full panic mode across all of college football. And 80% of teams felt like they needed to get somewhere else or were trying to get somewhere else or were trying to be taken away. And it doesn't feel like that right this second. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm just not in a position right now when I look at all the things going on. I don't get the sense that anyone's really all that concerned about their current standing. Like, yes, a year ago, 2 years ago, yeah, there was absolute panic. But I just don't feel like anyone's in a real big rush to mess with Happy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in a big rush to have your floors repaired, you know exactly who you should call.
That'd be Chenard Flooring. Chenard Flooring does an amazing job, and they will again for you. I've always appreciated how Fu has built his company on a foundation of trust and integrity and respect, frankly, for your home. When they come in, they change your floors. That's a big job. That's a potentially damaging job in your home, but not with Fu, not with his guys. They're going to come in, they're going to take the proper precautions, and they're going to install that beautiful Core-Tech flooring by Shaw that's in stock right now, by the way, 40,000 square feet of it. You can go see it, touch it, feel it before you install it. And that's all throughout here, the Birmingham area. Nobody has more than Fu and his guys at Chenard Flooring. So go and see and feel that Core-Tech flooring. It's 100% waterproof, kid-proof, pet-proof flooring. It brings value to your home or business, and they're easy to clean and maintain. So you can get 12 months financing with approved credit. So if you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, call who? Call Fu. Call them today at 205-518-6423, or you can go online to fuandyou.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the future of college football and the playoff qualifications next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Get to a bad box score of the day. Actually, multiple here in just a moment. First, Greg, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring moves you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. When they need your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased need to get to your home. So call them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, let's just go ahead and roll into our bad box scores, plural, of the day because, well, I'm just going to take some time to get through this. And there are many that we need to discuss.
Are they all baseball related?
No, not all.
Some.
There's one that is not. Would you like
English?
Would you like to start with the?
Is it the Elf League?
It is not. We haven't had to go there yet.
We need to.
Haven't had to make that up just yet. No, this one would be in the UFL, in which I'm sure most people know. I'm sure most people saw.
Oh, yeah.
Your Birmingham Stallions over the weekend. Taking on
the Memphis Showboats.
Memphis Showboats. Battle of the Bones.
No.
No.
What?
No. Memphis is not our rival. Well, I don't know if this has been
Yes.
adjusted. Is Houston still our rival? Are we still told that that's who we have to hate?
I'll
Yes.
still operate under that.
Okay. It was a blowout over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say for me, probably the worst that I've seen covering the UFL.
I'd say that's fair.
Haven't had a lot that I would look at this game and immediately say, yeah, there was one that I recall being a worse blowout than what we got in this one.
You don't say.
I don't. I don't say.
It was a lot to a little.
It was 46 to 9.
46-9.
Let's go.
Birmingham Stallions knock off the Memphis Showboats. Stallions now 7-3. Showboats 2-8. So, I mean, listen, I understand where Memphis is. I understand what's on the line. You're trying to give new guys a chance to play. But 46-9 in the format that the UFL's played, that just flat shouldn't happen.
That's not what you're looking for.
I don't think it's ideal.
I would say that's reasonable.
I don't think you look at that and say that's where we want to go with things.
I don't think that's where you want to go at all.
But I will offer
How did it get so sideways? I thought they weren't supposed to care this week. It's just a precursor, you know. Everything's in front of you. But no. Nope.
Well,
we're going to send it.
I think when you're talking about not caring, that could have gone both ways.
Could have been
on that
applied
one.
on either side.
Yeah, that's multiple ways you could have looked at that one. So, I mean, I think there are a lot of guys on the Birmingham roster that cared.
I believe
For
that.
a lot of reasons.
Obviously.
Oh yeah.
But I don't really think that maybe Memphis cared a whole lot.
Oh, you don't say.
Well, that's sometimes the way that it goes and the way the ball bounces. Birmingham ran for 120. Memphis ran for 97. Troy Williams went 3 of 4 for Memphis for 14 yards, and Dresser Wynn went 13 of 24 for no touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
No, he had 2 touchdowns.
Well,
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
Tay Crowder.
not to his team.
Yep.
He didn't.
Yep.
Yes.
He served him up.
Not what you want. Not ideal when you're giving other team points.
No.
But listen, sometimes that's the way it goes. Let's go to college baseball. All of these in regional action, I mind you.
Every one of them.
So teams who qualified to go play in regionals. The Oklahoma
Sooners.
knocked off the Nebraska
Cornhuskers.
17-1 in the Chapel Hill Regional on Saturday.
Mm.
Things you love to see.
The Oregon State
Beavers.
knocked off the St. Mary's.
Gales.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gales.
correct. 20-3
Let's
on
go.
Saturday. The Arizona
Wildcats.
knocked off the Cal Poly.
I don't know that one.
Ooh,
Flux?
No.
No. I should know that one. I don't know it.
Yeah, Cal.
Why
Cal
should
guy.
you know that one?
I just feel like we've had him before.
I believe Cal Poly are the Mustangs.
They're the Mustangs.
There you go.
14-0 in the Eugene regional.
That's not that bad.
It's a shutout.
Florida knocked off Fairfield 17-2.
Dang, taking on a high school squad?
UCLA knocked off Fresno 19-4.
Oh.
And Georgia knocked off Binghamton 20-4 over the weekend. All of those were in regional baseball games, which you would feel like you make to a regional. You just don't
Probably
really
pretty good.
necessarily need to have those kind of blowouts take place. But we also had a lot of your simply pitching bad box scores of the day in baseball over the weekend.
Well, usually that's what leads to it.
Well, no.
Usually if you have bad pitching, you're probably going to lead to a bad box score.
Well, I've kind of meant on both sides, like NC State and Stetson 17-12. Maybe no defense and no pitching is where you would qualify that one. That they had neither.
I think that that's reasonable.
Had a 12-13 West Virginia win over Kentucky over the weekend. You have a 17-6 Southern Miss win against Miami. That's why I wonder if pitching is just going to be. It's always important. Is it going to be that much more important? Miami of Ohio took out Wake 14-13. Little Rock beat Rhode Island 22-10.
22-10.
22-10. That's like Roy said. They got a chance to knock LSU out today, and they have a losing record.
Nah.
They ain't got nothing to lose. Ain't that right, Greg?
Hey, nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Other than the game.
Other than a lot of other games they lost this year. So
Nothing to lose.
They got that.
Pressure's on them.
We got nothing to lose. We got nothing to worry about. We'll just go out there and throw our best punch. Except if you lose, you're out and you have no way to play on. So, yeah, you're right. Nothing to lose. The whole nothing to lose mentality. Love that. Makes perfect sense.
When did a team go in thinking of all the things they had to lose?
Yes. You know what, guys? Hey, think about all that's lost if we lose today. Yep. That's right.
There you go.
Everything.
You must not have seen Swamp Kings.
Must not have.
You must not have seen Swamp Kings.
No. Clearly
Lots to
not.
lose.
Tons.
Yeah, I don't think people go.
I
in
don't
thinking
subscribe to
that way.
the nothing to lose mentality. That's a foreign one to me. I struggle with that one.
All right, so more college baseball coming up today. A couple SEC teams going to have a chance to play their way in. We mentioned UFL. Now we move into the postseason for the UFL. A lot of backup quarterbacks playing over the weekend. Birmingham gets the win 46-9. Arlington finishes with a better record than they had last year at 5-5, taking out San Antonio, who finished 1-9, 23-6.
That's not that bad.
Woof. Now the Houston Roughnecks get a win over Michigan. Now Michigan obviously did not have Bryce Perkins, held a couple people out, limited a few others, 19-12. So I don't know if you make much of that going into this playoff game against Birmingham this weekend. St. Louis takes out.
There's nothing to lose this weekend.
Except the
game.
spot in the championship game.
Correct.
That would be the one thing in front of you that you do have a chance to lose.
Exactly.
Could lose that.
Precisely my point.
St. Louis took out DC 13-8. We'll get the rematch of that one in the playoffs this weekend. In the XFL division, DC finishes 6-4. St. Louis finishes 8-2. How about Brandon Silver selling real estate like 3 weeks ago? He's out there throwing darts now in the UFL.
He's an XFL, UFL guy.
Yeah.
He has been around. He's logged some hours out there.
He's been out there. Was AJ's backup last year, so knows the offense and been in it. But still, to be able to come off the bench like that, literally off the bench of like selling houses, and then now all of a sudden you're throwing touchdowns, that's pretty cool.
Stay ready.
Even if it is just a matter of weeks.
Stay ready. You never have to get ready.
Heard that.
How long do you do that, though?
Long enough.
Hey, J. Marshman.
What's the age cutoff of that?
Oh, it's no age limit.
Oh, Talatoa. I mean, there's a bunch of guys in the UFL this year that were doing other stuff, but like, when do you cut that off? 30, 35, 38? Are you 57 and saying, "Wow, I'm still going out and catching passes every day,
Nope.
just in case"?
Could be.
You never know.
You never know.
Never know when the GFLs come along, the Grandpa Football League.
No.
Get me out there and play.
That the GFL and the EFL are the same.
Is it?
I mean,
I think it's
probably.
I think it's the ELF.
Whatever.
Elf.
Would our
European
GFL
League of Football
dominate their
I haven't checked ELF scores in a
ELF?
while.
You're due. I think it's time to start going back to the ELF.
I don't even know if they're playing right now.
They are,
How do you know?
because I saw it on my DirecTV the other day.
What? Did you tune in?
Thought about it, then remembered, nah, I'm good.
Oh, come on. You don't love ball.
I'm going to resist the urge.
Jack Del Rio's out there, man.
That's awesome. Happy for him.
They are playing right now, and we have missed some bad box scores of the day.
Oh, yeah.
The Vienna Vikings in week 2 knocking off the Verharver Anthroners 62-15.
Yeah, we got to do a deep dive.
The Paris Musketeers beat the Stuttgart Surge 6-0.
Defense.
The Stuttgart
in
Surge.
Week 2
Let's
action.
go. Yeah, we missed it.
Pronounced
And the
Sayars.
Berlin Thunder just snuck past the Cologne Centurion 63-14 in week 1.
Explosive offense, baby.
You are so back on it.
We're back.